As the Argos sip the bubbly from the James S. Dixon Trophy. Goes back to 1912, one of the oldest trophies in pro sport in North America. Mike O'Shea in the locker room there, also enjoying the celebration here this afternoon. He's going back to Hamilton, the former Tiger Cat, next weekend as a member of the Argonauts. The Argos winning here this afternoon over Montreal, 43-7. They're going to the Grey Cup for the first time since '91. Now the Western Final, and here is Scott Oates.
All right, Mark, nothing gets football fans in Alberta fired up as much as a meeting of the Stamps and the Eskimos, especially if it's in the West Final for the right to go to the Grey Cup. Part 2, and could it be any better as the best of the West collide? The Giz is a sharp card who knows when to hold him and when to run. Danny Mac can beat a full house anytime, especially if he and Flutie are a pair. The Stamps have some impressive cards of their own. Jeff can cut and shuffle with the best of them, and Danny will deal with what's been dealt. Marvin can take a dud hand and bluff his way to a major, so let the cards fall where they may. It's the time of year when the Eskimos and Stampeders usually meet in a huge game. Today they clash in the West Final for the 6th time in the last 7 years, and this game will be as much a test of the elements as it will be a test of skill. Welcome to Calgary now as Final Sunday continues with the Eskimos and Stampeders ready to sort out who faces the Argos for Earl Grey's Cup. This game is Alberta's own Grey Cup, if you will. Calgary and Edmonton have met in the West Division Final every year in the 90s, save for one. The most lopsided result, the one a year ago, the Stamps holding a 3-2 edge. But this year, don't you get the feeling Jim Sandusky and the Eskimos, who posted 68 points last week, are peaking at just the right time, as they did in '93 when they won it all. Sandusky's a bona fide cold weather player, as his 3 touchdowns last week would seem to prove. To describe the proceedings today, Don Whitman and David Archer. One's a veteran of 35 years in the broadcast booth. The other is a quarterback in his prime. You shouldn't have any trouble figuring out who's who.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. David, both coaches very confident in their team's ability this afternoon. When we posed the question yesterday, what do you have to do to win? Both had the same response, show up, and they didn't mean arriving in the dressing room.
No, they certainly didn't, Don, and I don't think it's going to be a problem for either ball club. It doesn't take anything to get up for one of these kind of ball games. I think the story is really going to be the turnover story. When you talk about Edmonton, Edmonton feeds on turnovers, but their quarterback has turned it over 27 times, a club record, where Calgary, number 2 in the league in the plus-minus ratio with a +27. I really think that that's going to be the story today.
A lot of controversy, a lot of speculation all week in Calgary. Will Wally Buono let Jeff Garcia go all the way, or will he give him the hook if he falters and put in Danny Barrett?
Well, I certainly think that's something that's going to concern Jeff. If he comes out and plays well early, he'll be fine. But if he struggles early in the ball game, you're going to find him looking to the sideline to see if Danny Barrett's getting loose.
When addressing that issue, Buono had an interesting comment. He said, at least we have that option. I don't think Ron Lancaster has the same option over in Edmonton. He'll be going all the way with Danny McManus. Scott?
All right, Don, and you and I know from residing in Winnipeg what a leader offensive lineman Chris Walby is. 16 years in the CFL, 11 All-Star selections, 2 Outstanding Lineman Awards, and today he's helping lead us through Final Sunday. Here again is our game day analyst, Chris Walby. And Chris, you know all about battling in the trenches. Prevailing opinion is when it's cool like this, the game will be decided on the lines. Will that be the case today?
Well, I tell you what, it doesn't matter what game it is. I believe personally that it's always won in the trenches, but especially in the cold weather, because this is where you got to control the ball. You got to get a running game going. You want to try and prevent turnovers, and as offense, you want to keep the ball as long as you can.
Chris, the most important point of all, what's the deal with big offensive and, for that matter, defensive linemen who elect to go in cold weather like this, bare-armed as you have your entire career?
We are trying to psych out the opponent. I tell you what, and it gives them nothing to grab. I tell you what, when you got, it's like anybody. When you got pythons, show them. Don't be shy.
Yeah, stay away from those pythons, baby.
There you go,
That's
baby.
The expression, right? All right, it's about -18 now as we head to kickoff in Calgary, but with the wind chill, we're told the equivalent is about -30 degrees, and any player who was worried about the weather is doomed to failure on this day. And so now the stage is set for the West Final. Calgary and Edmonton with a Grey Cup berth against Toronto on the line, and here again are Don Whitman and David Archer.
Well, Scott, Ron Lancaster has won a Grey Cup as both a coach and a player, and he would like to return to Hamilton for the 1996 matchup against the Toronto Argonauts. But Wally Buono on the other side of the field has also been there as both a player and a coach, and he would like to take his team back. He has a most impressive record, 93, 32-1. since taking over in 1990 as head coach of the Stampeders, but a losing record against the Edmonton Eskimos during that time, a 9-11 mark.
You know, anybody that said that this Calgary crowd was going to be thin was mistaken. There's a huge, boisterous crowd here today, and I think they'll play a factor before this is over with.
A very noisy crowd here at McMahon Stadium this afternoon. And this has become a familiar sight, the road to the Grey Cup in the West, leading once again through Calgary. Coleman will take the opening kickoff at the 15-yard line. Coleman loses the football. Edmonton's got it.
Tony Burst, Don.
Maurice Miller comes up with the fumble recovery. Tony Burst with the hit. Now here's an interesting story. Tony Burst initially was not going to be on the special teams because he's nursing a slight injury. At practice yesterday, he called Ron Lancaster aside and said, "Coach, you have to let me play on special teams."
Tony Burst is one of those kind of guys that you'll love to have on your team because he goes full bore all the time. He splits the wedge and makes a huge hit on Coleman, and Maurice Miller is there to make the recovery.
A big opening play in the Eastern Final as Mike Clemens took it all the way for a touchdown. A big opening play by the Eskimos, recovering the fumble at the 28-yard line. Danny McManus hands off to Blunt, and he had stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Darrell Hall came up to make the tackle. Danny McManus led the league in interceptions this year. He put 27 into the hands of opposition defenders. He passed for 256 yards last week under those frigid conditions in Edmonton in the 68-7 win over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Second and about 9.5 as McManus is operating out of the shotgun. 3 receivers wide to the right. He looks in that direction. The throw is high, intended for Tobert. And it's 2 and out on their first offensive series for the Edmonton Eskimos after the opening kickoff fumble recovery.
Well, immediately Calgary tried to play an overloaded zone to the trip side. Danny has to throw the ball underneath. Tobert can't come up with a high throw, but those are the kind of catches he's going to they're going to have to make for him. The conditions are chilly here. He's not going to be as accurate as he'd normally be. They're going to have to make those kind of catches for him.
Fleming will be attempting a field goal of 36 yards. In this range this year, he was good on 7 of 9 attempts. The kick is up, and it is good as the Edmonton Eskimos are first on the board in this Western Final. Ron Lancaster's Edmonton Eskimos came into this game as 6-point underdogs. But he says those numbers don't mean a thing once that ball is in the air on the opening kickoff.
The official car and truck supplier for the Stampeders.
Jeff Garcia with some final instructions from the sidelines from John Huffnagel as he heads out to operate the Calgary offense for the first time this afternoon. Garcia in recent weeks has not completed football games. On 4 occasions, he has been replaced by Danny Barrett, but as Coach Wally Guano said, 2 of those changes were by design. Garcia throws out into the flat to Dave Sapunjas, and Sapunjas will have a gain of about 8 yards. Sapunjas, during the course of the season, the number 2 receiver as far as receptions were concerned, with 82 behind Alan Pitt's 86. Fred Childress will have a pretty tough job this afternoon trying to control Leroy Blue. And Calvin Anderson is going to try and run the ball for the Stampeders, although the Edmonton Eskimos said if they go with the ground game, they'll be playing right into our hands.
Edmonton loves to stop the run. There's an immediate indication that Calgary respects the defensive front of Edmonton. They move the pocket and allow Garcia to get on the corner.
Short yardage team is in on 2nd and 2. And Anderson does run the football up to the 54-yard line.
Anderson's got 6 yards.
Defensively, the Edmonton Eskimos have a solid team, the best defensive team in the country this year. Leroy Blue, an all-star nomination, playing with much more confidence. Willie Pless leading the league in tackles again from his linebacking position. And in the secondary, Malcolm Frank is a defender that the Calgary Stampeders have a great deal of respect for. A former teammate of yours.
Malcolm Frank can certainly play the corner all by himself.
Out of the shotgun, fake inside, the little pass to Terry Vaughn, and Vaughn working the sidelines, gets a first down, taking it inside the Edmonton 40-yard line. A 17-yard pickup for Terry Vaughn.
You know, Don, we talked to Dave Sapungis earlier in the week, and he talked about how important it would be for Terry Vaughn to catch the ball with room to run. This is where he's extremely dangerous. Picks up a nice block from Pitts. Look at Crysdale helping downfield. Boy, tremendous amount of effort by everybody on the offensive group right now.
3-0 the Eskimos lead. This game just nicely underway. 11:36 remaining in the opening quarter. First and 10 Calgary at the 41 of the Eskimos. Garcia hands off inside to Anderson, and Anderson is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Larry Ruck was there, and Glenn Rogers Jr. had come up from his defensive halfback position. Some speculation at the start of the year that the veteran Larry Ruck may be playing his final season for the Edmonton Eskimos, but he's indicated that that might not necessarily be so.
Well, you can take the football away from the player, but you can't take the football out of the player, and he's certainly one of those kind of guys that it's going to be tough to get him off the field. He's still playing at a very high level.
It will be 2nd and 9. The ball just inside the 40-yard line. Garcia now operating out of the shotgun. This pass is deflected. It was intended for Alan Pitts, and Willie Pless had dropped over in the coverage.
They were in the no back set, which meant they have 6 receivers coming up the field. Edmonton man coverage in the secondary, and this is a situation where they felt that if they could protect Garcia and not have the backs in, he's going to be effective. Here's Alan Pitts, a guy that always runs a great option. He runs an option route, just turns out, and the ball's thrown high there. Pitts can't come down. Pitts is 6'4". If that ball is too high for him, nobody's going to catch it.
Mark McLaughlin will attempt to put the Stampeders back on even terms.
To attempt a 46-yard field goal.
He had a career-high 54 field goals this year in 67 attempts for the Calgary Stampeders. And this is certainly within his range. He managed to get a good plan, a good kick, and this game is tied at 3. 10:23 remaining in the opening quarter here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. The Eskimos and the Stampeders deadlock at 3. Obviously, a number of Edmonton fans have made the trip south to take in this Western final. The Eskimos and the Stampeders tied at 3. Rod Conniff is the most experienced player on the field, and he has more playoff games than any other Eskimo. This is his 22nd, and he anchors a pretty solid offensive line for the Eskimos. 2 solid running backs in there in Tony Burse and Eric Blunt. Blunt will get the bulk of the work, but Tony Burse likes to get his hands on the football as well. From the 35, it's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. A 3-step drop. Pass over the middle for Blunt. He could not hang on. He was hit by Alondra Johnson, the middle linebacker. At about the same instant, the football arrived.
Alondra Johnson makes a nice play here, covering Blunt coming out of the backfield. But the real play was Rodney Harding. Tremendous pressure up the middle, and this is what they talked about wanting to do. Danny drops so short and gets rid of the ball so quickly, they wanted to collapse the pocket on him. Rodney Harding was right in his face. It was difficult for Danny to throw the football.
Both teams very solid defensively. The Eskimos led the league in fewest points allowed. Calgary, number 3. Pass over the middle intended for Sandusky. It was well over his head. And again, it's 2 and out for the Eskimos. And McManus was a little upset with that throw. McManus will take the blame for any miscues, but he rarely takes any credit for the success of the Eskimos.
Danny's a true team player. This time, he makes a mistake and throws the ball into coverage. He actually had Eddie Brown open. Here's Rodney Harding. This is a guy that's having a great year this year. Just loves being in Calgary, loves the public. He talked about how fun it's been for him to be in Calgary. 10 sacks, leads the team.
Glenn Harper with the 3rd down punt for the Edmonton Eskimos on the season, a 41.9-yard average. And this one is going to bounce out of bounds before the Calgary Stampeders get an opportunity to field. Excellent field position, though, for the Stamps as they will scrimmage 1st and 10 from the 50-yard line. That was only a 25-yard kick. You had a long talk with Jeff Garcia about looking over his shoulder, wondering whether or not he would get pulled, and this has to be something that preys on the mind of a young quarterback.
It definitely does. I think it's something that Wally tried to deflect a little bit, but at some point he couldn't, and he had to help his team and get Danny Barrett on the field in a couple of games. But Jeff's going to come out. If he can be successful early, I think he'll be fine.
Garcia is operating out of the shotgun. 3 receivers wide to the left. Garcia can run the football, and he is going to try and scoot up the middle, and he'll get about 7 yards. The Eskimos were saying that Garcia scares them a little more because he has the ability to run the football. They pretty much know that Barrett's going to be back in the pocket.
Well, this is certainly a design play. This is just a quarterback draw. He saw something at the line of scrimmage. I think he changed the play, and Jeff's an aggressive runner. Young quarterbacks tend to learn that through experience. They get knocked around a little bit. Jeff needs to get down a little bit earlier, but he's very effective running the football.
Garcia had a 100-yard rushing game earlier this season. 2nd and 3, the fake inside. Garcia looking down the sidelines for Pitts. It's intercepted. Rogers has it. And the Eskimos with their 2nd turnover of the game. They recovered the opening kickoff fumble, and Rogers with the interception gives them a 1st down at their own 33-yard line.
Glenn Rogers has just been a heck of a player for him this year. 7 or 8 interceptions this season. The thing he does on this play is he holds Pitts up on his route and allows himself to get back into play and make the interception.
Rogers and Kavis Reed both had 7 interceptions for the Eskimos this season.
That's right. Put it on me. Put it on me.
Calgary has 3 receivers who have better than 1,000 yards this year. The Edmonton defensive backs felt they had to do some jamming at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that time Glenn did get his hands on Alan Pitts. He just got in his way, which impeded the progress, delayed the play, and subsequently they come up with a turnover.
The toss to Eric Blunt trying to get outside, and Blunt will pick up about 3 yards. It's a little slippery once you get to the sidelines, but there should be no problem on the playing field. Not like last week in Edmonton where there was so much discussion about footwear. As a matter of fact, there probably hasn't been as much talk about shoes since Imelda Marcus was run out of the Philippines.
Well, Ronnie said he was a little mad that the referees didn't check his shoes last week.
Yeah, he said as one of the officials came down the sidelines, he said, "You want to come over and check my shoes?" Second down play, McManus with time. A low throw intended for Sandusky, but he can't pull it in. They continue to battle for the football, but it's no catch. He was being covered by the safety Knox. Well, the Eskimos were able to score on their first possession on a field goal by Sean Fleming, but they have not been able to move the yardstick since.
That's good coverage. Here you see him being jammed in the slot. Knox is sitting on the play trying to break on it. Danny just didn't throw the ball real accurate. It looked like Darren Flutie was jammed while the ball was in the air and it was overlooked by the referees.
Sandusky had the 3-touchdown performance in the 68-7 rout of Winnipeg last week. 3rd down punt by Harper. Again, he's angling it towards the sidelines. It will be taken by Coleman at the 33. Coleman trying to go wide. Good coverage downfield. Maurice Miller was the first to make contact with him. 7:14 remains in the first quarter. Each team has kicked a field goal. It's 3-3. 7:09 on the clock running. The time remaining in the opening quarter. The winner will advance to next Sunday's Grey Cup game in Hamilton against the Toronto Argonauts. And we extend our congratulations to Don Matthews and the Argos for their big win today. Garcia on the exchange from center fumbled the football, and Jed Roberts has come up with it. Garcia never got his hands on the football, and Jed Roberts with a huge fumble recovery, the 3rd turnover of the game for the Edmonton Eskimos.
This is certainly not the start that Jeff Garcia had hoped for himself. Here's just a simple exchange. Jeff's trying to get out of there. The ball doesn't come up. He'll probably accept the responsibility for that, but more importantly, they've turned the football over to Edmonton again in their own end of the field.
And as we said at the start of the telecast, both coaches were concerned about turnovers being a factor this afternoon. Now it's up to the Edmonton Eskimos to try and take advantage. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 32-yard line. The handoff to Burse, and Burse is stuffed right at the line of scrimmage. Everyone talks about the Edmonton Eskimos and their proficiency in defending against the run. This Calgary group isn't bad either.
I'll tell you, and I think they took a lot of exception to the talk about the Edmonton defense. There wasn't much said about how well they played this year. And you don't get a +27 in the turnover ratio if you're not playing well on defense.
Andre Johnson, the middle linebacker. Marvin Pope, playing a defensive end position by his own admission, has not played as well this year as he did a year ago. From the shotgun formation, McManus throwing deep, looking for downtown Eddie Brown in the end zone, but he was being well covered. Coleman was defending against him. Ron Lancaster's theory coming into this Western final was that they have to get the ball into the hands of Eddie Brown because he can make things happen.
Eddie's the one game breaker on offense that they have. He's a guy that has the ability to turn a small play into a monster play. Danny had a throw there to Eddie. He just made a bad throw and threw it over the top. Danny takes him down inside with the ball. Eddie can make a play for him.
David Archer, the quarterback of the Ottawa Rough Riders, with me in the broadcast booth as he was last week in Montreal for the Eastern semifinal. And here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, the Edmonton Eskimos attempting to take the lead as Fleming kicks from 38 yards out. This one hangs up there a little, but it's good. And with 5:32 remaining in the first quarter, it's Edmonton 6 and Calgary 3. We'll be back after this.
Back in Calgary, it's the Eskimos by 3 in the first quarter. There's Danny McManus, who helped the Eskimos post 68 points last week, Chris, but he does not have his rhythm today.
No, and Danny is a rhythm quarterback, and it just shows the importance right now of how the defense is playing for Edmonton. They're giving opportunities by giving turnovers to him. He needs some time, and that's why it's important for the defense to keep giving the ball so he can get some rhythm.
And Don, I'm sure you and Dave would agree that the Stampeders are fortunate to be down only by 3 after having turned the ball over 3 times.
I think Wally Buono was quite relieved that his team only trails by 3. There's that little shovel pass inside to Anderson. He'll get a first down for Calgary. The Eskimos have yet to pick up a first down. McManus has not completed the pass. That's a somewhat dangerous play when you get that far to the outside, that shovel pass. In there, isn't it, Dave?
It is dangerous, but you know, Garcia makes a heck of an athletic play there. He's got a defender right on his back. He wanted to throw the ball to Pitts running the out route. But you can see Pless is all over him, and he makes a heck of an athletic play just to get the ball to Anderson, and Anderson makes something positive happen.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but usually that shovel pass is quite close to the line of scrimmage. Anderson, the ball carrier, and he gets to the midfield stripe. That will be a pickup of about 7 yards, stopped by Errol Martin.
You know, what's setting up that running play is moving the pocket, allowing Jeff Garcia to get outside. That makes the defensive ends sit wide. They have to defend and contain Garcia from getting outside and making something happen, throwing the ball, which widens the defense, gives better angles for the offensive line. They're coming back inside with the run.
Anderson was 3rd in the league in rushing this year. Only the 8th Stampeder in the history of this franchise to run for better than 1,000 yards. Garcia for Pitts. He's wide open, and he steps out of bounds with a first down inside the 35. Benny Goods, as he so often does on a bull rush, came up the middle and put some pressure on Garcia.
Inexplicably, Alan Pitts got isolated on a linebacker. And here's Jeff standing in. This is one of the things he does so well. He stands in, takes the shot, and makes a great, accurate throw to Alan Pitts.
Chris Walby was talking about Goods and the way he comes so hard on every play. And he almost got to Garcia, but the quarterback was able to get it away. This is Anderson, and Anderson will be close to a first down to about the 22-yard line before being brought down by Willie Pless. Well, Calgary, when we talked with them, felt confident that they could run the football. Conversely, the Eskimos felt they could stuff the run.
This is just a great job of getting on their blocks. There you see Ford taking care of Trent Brown, who's up in the line, and Willie Pless, as he does so many times, makes another tackle. But when you're on the field this much, their defense has been on the field the whole game so far. You're going to start to wear down a little bit.
First and 10 from the 23-yard line. Garcia operating from the shotgun. He moves Calvin Anderson, but there appeared to be some problem and some confusion, and Garcia calls a timeout.
Calgary loses so many different sets and so many different formations that they obviously didn't get into what Jeff had called. And at this point, you know that field position means everything in these kind of games, and an opportunity to score means everything. So don't put yourself in a hole, take a 5-yard penalty. let's take the timeout right now and ensure that we get a positive play.
Garcia came over to talk with John Hufnagel. Hufnagel calls all the plays for the Calgary quarterbacks, whether it is Jeff Garcia or Danny Barrett. 2:57 remaining in the opening quarter. Calgary trailing by 3 points. This drive for the Stampeders following the Edmonton touchdown started at their own 35. Garcia is intercepted again. Malcolm Frank has the football. Kavis Reed has the football, and he is taken down by Vince Danielson. That's turnover number 4.
This is a situation where Garcia reads the coverage. It's a zone coverage to the front side of the formation. He's trying to throw the ball out here to Danielson. The ball is just thrown too far outside, and Kavis Reed, who's playing the outside zone in that coverage, breaks up on a tip pass. In zone, that's what happens a lot of times. The ball gets tipped, and there's always a guy behind the receiver, the intended receiver, in that zone, and he makes the play.
Last year, Edmonton was number 1 in the league in the plus-minus category at a plus 40. This year, -8. But in this game, they have taken the ball away 4 times from the Stampeders. Tony Burse hit right at the line of scrimmage. The initial contact by Marvin Pope.
Well, Marvin had talked about how he'd been slowed. He was in an NFL camp. They had him playing linebacker. He said his switch to defensive end has been a slow process for him this season, but this is an all-star play. You see him knife in right here. He gets off the block and hits a pretty tough running back one-on-one, takes him down for a loss.
Thomas Raham working against Marvin Pope. That time, Pope won the battle in the trenches. Pope coming hard again. And McManus is brought down by Rodney Harding. Pope was coming from the left side. From the right side, Rodney Harding got through on McManus.
It's good coverage downfield, Don. Again, we talked about it last week. This is a coverage sack. Look at the protection. He's got a lot of time. He sits, he waits. Finally, Harding comes off. Those guys on the defensive side of the ball are getting paid to play, too. And that's a heck of a play by Harding to stay after the rush and make a play on McManus.
So again, the Eskimos are forced to kick it away with 1:40 remaining in the first quarter. Coleman takes the ball at the 49-yard line, and good downfield coverage by the Eskimos. The initial contact by Bruce Dixon, and Jed Roberts was there as well. That was a 31-yard punt, 2 yards on the return.
Here's backup linebacker
Bruce
Dixon. See, he plays off the block and comes in and makes a nice hit on Coleman. One thing that's very important when you got a dangerous return guy like that you stay in your lanes. Dixon does a good job of protecting the punter, not getting out too soon, and then he gets in his lane, prevents Coleman from having a crease, and then he comes down and makes a tackle.
It appears to be Kevin Reed receiving treatment on the playing field. And he is the Calgary holder on extra points and on field goals, and he got tangled up in attempting to block either Roberts or Dixon, but it appears as though he is going to be okay as he is up now and making his way off to the Calgary bench.
So often when you're blocking on those punt returns is you're trying to wall your guy off, the guy you're responsible for, and you get rolled up from behind. It looks like he just got clipped by one of his own players and twisted the ankle or the knee. Looks like he's going to be okay, though.
You missed it earlier today. The Toronto Argonauts are Grey Cup bound, 43-7 over Montreal. And I think that has to rank as a surprise based on the way Montreal played in the last part of the season. Jeff Garcia goes down. Derek McCready was in on the stop.
Number 45, Maurice Miller, in on the tackle.
Maurice Miller was also there for Edmonton as Garcia looks over to John Hufnagel on the Calgary bench for the next play call.
7 from the Calgary 54.
Twice this afternoon, Garcia has been intercepted. During the course of the season, Garcia had 25 touchdown passes, 16 interceptions. Second down play. Danielson over the middle will be close to a first down. Glenn Rogers was on his back.
It's a good read by Jeff Garcia. It's a second down and medium situation, meaning 3 to 6 yards. This is a situation where you look downfield. If you have a chance to make a play, you take it. But you want to move the chains. Here, Jeff has his throw underneath. Danielson has beaten Rogers to the inside. That's a combination coverage. They're playing combination on both sides of the field, kind of a 4-on-3 situation on both sides of the field. Rogers' responsibility is to keep, as you see the first down there, Rogers' responsibility is to keep that receiver from coming inside, but Daniels beat him in his technique and made the play.
When we talked with Wally Buono yesterday, we asked about his decision to remove Garcia from a game, and his response was if he isn't making the proper reads and finding the open man.
I think he's done the right things with the ball throwing-wise. They just have ended up in the wrong places. He's still seeing things and making the right decisions.
Although they trailed by 3, the Stampeders have 6 first downs and now 7, and the Eskimos don't have 1. As Vaughn takes the ball to the 37-yard line, there is a penalty flag on the play.
Who's it on, Walking downfield.
John Ireland is the referee in charge this afternoon, and Terry Vaughn, who had 74 catches for 1,161 yards on the season, limps to the huddle.
Pass interference. Calgary number 32. Repeat first down.
Offensive interference called against Anderson.
Well, the reason this is called is because the ball is thrown downfield. If the ball had been thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you're allowed to block downfield with the ball in the air. But with the ball in the air and being thrown downfield, you can't contact a defender, and that's offensive pass interference, and Anderson was caught blocking with the ball thrown upfield. There's a great opportunity for him again to get Vaughn the football. They know Kavis Reed is going to play off to the wide side of the field, and big gain called back.
So scratch a first down from the Calgary statistical story. It remains 6 first downs so far in the game, and they trail by a score of 6-3. Out of the shotgun, Garcia looking over the middle, and Sapunjas, the sure-handed slot back, comes up with a big catch. Singer Mobley brings him down inside the 40-yard line.
51-yard play.
And that is the final play of the opening quarter here at McMahon Stadium, with the Stampeders behind by 3. You take a look at those numbers, you might wonder how Edmonton can be leading by a score of 6-3, but the 4 turnovers have been the difference. The Eskimos yet to pick up a first down. Net yards -1. But the Stampeders have been guilty of turning the ball over 4 times. David Sapunjas with a huge catch over the middle on the second down play, and he is just short of a first down.
Here's Sponge. You can see him looking, reading coverage, sees the middle field's open. Garcia knows that this guy reads coverage extremely well. The ball's not thrown right on the money, but there's a guy making a play for his quarterback in a tough situation. Knows he's going to take a shot.
This comes up just short of the first down. Second, less than a yard to go.
Garcia will keep,
And it's just Garcia.
and he follows Jamie Crysdale, the center, for a first down, Calgary. The Stampeders have been moving the ball efficiently, but they haven't been able to put it in the end zone. Jamie Crysdale, one of the veterans up front. Initially a BC draft pick back in 1991. He was traded for a man he might be snapping the ball to later in the game, Danny Barrett. Fake inside to Calvin Anderson. Garcia rolling to his right. Looks, and it's incomplete. He was trying to hit Sapunjas, and he was throwing into a crowd. There were about 4 Edmonton defenders running laterally across the field with Jeff Garcia.
Once again, a respect to the defensive front for Edmonton. They're going to move the pocket and allow Garcia to get outside. He continues to buy time and makes a throw behind Sponge a little bit, but Dave would be the first guy to tell you he should have caught that ball.
It will be 2nd and 10 for the Stampeders. They are at the 38. Garcia has passed for 86 yards, but he won't be happy with that number down at the bottom of the screen. 2 first-quarter interceptions. Garcia is flushed out of the pocket again. This time he may run it, And he'll try and run for a first down, and he succeeds. The safety, Trent Brown, came up to knock him out of bounds, but not before he had picked up first down yardage.
Good job, baby. Good job.
Garcia was saying his folks did not make the trip from Northern California to watch him play this week. He hopefully will be able to send them tickets to come to Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton next week.
If he keeps making plays like that, he'll be able to do that. Here's a situation where Jeff's thrown a couple interceptions. He realizes the situation. There's Brown making a hit very close to being out of bounds, but you know, no flag there, so no blood, no foul, I guess. But Garcia, everybody forgets that Jeff was the Western All-Star in this league. I mean, the guy had a great year. Everybody keeps forgetting how well he played for this team. They just want to focus on the games that he was taking out. He's had a couple balls tipped that have been picked off. He decides to keep the football there and play it safe, and he's moving the chains.
3 receivers wide to the left on the first down play from the 27-yard line. There's the toss to Calvin Anderson, and Anderson picked up about 2 before being driven back hard. Dixon was in on the stop. It's interesting the way the Edmonton Eskimos rotate their 4-down linemen and their linebackers. Dixon and Ruck will share duties, but the only player who doesn't come out is Willie Plex.
Well, Willie, I don't think they can get Willie off the field. That's why he doesn't come out. You'd have to drag him off. He doesn't come out. But they do rotate everybody, keep them fresh. And fortunately, they're doing that because they've been on the field most of this half.
Willie Pless led the league in tackles. He is the CFL career leader in tackles. And an all-star once again. Second down play. The whistle goes. Is this going to be a time count violation? Yes, it is. Garcia took a little too long in getting that play underway. Again, he looks over to John Huffnagel for play selection here.
Time count violation. Calgary number 7, still second down.
Most of the time when something like that happens is the quarterback sees something he would love to get to, but the clock winds down on him, and he's trying to decide whether to get to the play that would maybe give him a chance for a score, and gets distracted and forgets about the clock, and the result is a 5-yard penalty.
Second and 11 now, as Garcia is in the shotgun. 4 receivers to the left. He looks right for Alan Pitts. Down at the goal line, he can't make the catch.
The pass goes incomplete.
Glenn Rogers was all over Alan Pitts once again.
Number 26. Third down and 11.
That's good coverage by Glenn Rogers. Glenn's had a great year. Great move by Alan Pitts to get up top. He looked for the ball there, as you saw. He was looking for Jeff to throw the football on the seam. He had him beat clean. The route probably was called for a corner, and once Allen didn't get the football, he realized, hey, I got to run my route. Here, Jeff's pretty clean. I mean, you see that all day long as a quarterback. You're going to get knocked down, have to pick yourself up. But I think that Alan Pitts was looking for the football initially because he won so clean off of the ball.
A 36-yard field goal attempt by Mark McLaughlin out of the hold of Kevin Reed to try and tie this game, and he succeeds. So with 12:16 remaining in the first half, it's Edmonton 6 and Calgary 6 in the Western Final.
Again, we're on the air at 2:30 Eastern next Saturday with Grey Cup Saturday live from Hamilton. We start at 5 ET on game day with countdown to kickoff and game coverage at 6 o'clock ET. Kickoff a half an hour later. The Classic is going to match the Argos and either the Stampeders and the Eskimos. The latter two tied at 6 right now, Don.
And there are some interesting costumes and evidence this afternoon at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. I don't think anybody is trying to make a fashion statement today. People are simply trying to keep warm. First and 10 from the 35-yard line. McManus still to complete a pass, and on the far side of the field, his most reliable receiver, his go-to guy, Darren Flutie, comes up with the catch.
You knew at some point if Danny needed to get off the schneid a little bit, and he finds Darren Flutie, the guy that has made so many big plays for him this season. They came over together from BC. They run a lot of routes down where they let Flutie do whatever he wants to do, and Danny just kind of sits and waits for him to make a break, and then he throws the ball.
Well, Flutie is remembered by Calgary fans for the catch in the 1994 final. But in talking to him about that catch, I remember 1991 when I dropped a lot of passes and also fumbled a kickoff. He said, I'd like to erase that thought from my memory bank. as much as reflect back on the catch in 1994. Again, 2 and out for the Edmonton Eskimos. Alondra Johnson, the middle linebacker, very slow in getting up for the Calgary Stampeders. He made a comment today in talking about Willie Pless leading the league in tackles. He said, if I played behind Benny Goods, I might lead the league as well. And he was referring to the bull rush of Benny Goods in handling the offensive lineman.
I think that a lot of us could lead the league in tackles if we played behind Benny Goods. Here, Darren Flutie against bump and run coverage is trying to run a slant. It's second down and short. Alondra Johnson reading Danny McManus's eyes, which a lot of times happens with your linebackers. He comes over and puts a hit and knocks the ball down on Darren Flutie. It looks like he took a knee in the stomach, knocked the wind out of him.
But I wonder after that comment how some of Alondra Johnson's defensive linemen felt about this statement.
Well, as a player, when I read the paper this morning and saw the quote, the first thing I thought was, how is my own team going to react to it? I'm sure Rodney Harding and Stu Laird and all the guys that play inside didn't have a lot of good thoughts in their minds when they read it this morning. But Alondra has the tendency to say things, and your teammates know about the guys that are going to talk in the newspaper, and they just kind of brush it off and say, yeah, it's him trying to get ready to play.
Well, I'm sure Chris Walby is keeping an eye on Benny Goods because he was talking about how difficult he is to defend against because he comes so hard.
Glenn Harper's in there again, back inside his own 30 and proclamation.
Harper standing back at the 27-yard line for this third down kick. Coleman takes it on a bounce at the 23.
Tony Burse again, Don.
Tony Burse was downfield, and he does an excellent job on special teams for the Eskimos.
Hate the cold weather? That's why you'll love starting your car with the remote car starter. This week it's just $99.99, only at Canadian Tire.
Well, a comment now from Chris Walby, our game day analyst, on turnovers and how there's been a reversal of form from the regular season in this game, Chris.
Well, the biggest thing is Edmonton was a -8 going into the season, and Calgary was +27. And here we have early into the second quarter, giving up 4 turnovers. Calgary's turned the ball over 4 times in one quarter. And the biggest thing is Edmonton has not taken advantage of this yet. This is the scary part.
And the Stampeders defense has got their team off the hook with respect to turnovers.
The life is coming back.
All right, Don.
Almost another turnover as it squirted away from Garcia, but Dwayne Ford was there to scoop it up.
It's another great athletic play by Jeff Garcia, because Leroy Blue is all over him here. Watch the stiff arm and Leroy can't keep his feet. Jeff buys himself some more time, makes a good decision. Nobody open, decides to tuck it and run. Now you got to put that ball away, because Edmonton practices stripping the football. They practice that, getting the ball out of the guy's hands, and with it cold out here, it's a little tougher to hang on to.
Garcia got back to the line of scrimmage, or picked up a first down, I should say, and a handoff to Anderson, and Anderson is tripped up right at the line of scrimmage.
Derek McCready, number 79.
Statistically, it's been all Calgary. One stat that they're not very happy about, the 4 turnovers. And that's one of the reasons this game is a 6-6 tie at the moment with 9:36 remaining in the first half.
Calgary's done such a good job so far in the game as being positive on first down. Here's a play where they weren't positive. Now they're in a second and long situation. This plays right into the hands of the Edmonton defense.
Second and 10 play. Garcia can't find anybody, and down he goes, and it is Benny Goods who gets to the Calgary quarterback. Goods was number 2 among Edmonton defenders in sacks during the regular season, with 2 fewer than Melvin Hunter.
Great coverage again downfield for the Edmonton Eskimos. But this is what allows Edmonton to be so good on defense, is they can rush 4 or 5 people and still get pressure on your quarterback and play good coverage downfield. Really tough on a quarterback to pick a receiver out when you got pressure with 4 people and they're covering with 8.
This is the first punt of the ball game for the Calgary Stampeders, Tony Martino. He'll be kicking to the former University of Calgary dinosaur star, Don Blair, and the man who holds the CFL record for punt returns, Henry Gizmo Williams. 24 times the Giz has taken one all the way. He'll field it again, but he does not get through the first wave of downfield tacklers. 8:38 the time remaining in the first half in a 6-6 Western final.
64 downfield quickly on special teams.
Well, the top two defensive teams in the Western Conference have waged quite a defensive struggle in this Western final. 8:38 remaining in the first half, a 6-6 tie here at McMahon Stadium. Danny McManus has struggled so far in this opening half. He gives the ball to Eric Blunt, and he will pick up about 4 yards.
Now there's a positive play right there for Edmonton. You need to get some positive things happening on first down that keeps them in situations where it's second down and medium. And I'm talking about that 3 to 6 area that it's a little easier to convert. You're going to probably draw man coverage, which allows lets your Eddie Browns and your Darren Fluties to work and get open for you.
And there is an injured Calgary Stampeder. Will Johnson is down. Graham, who may be the biggest player in the CFL, 6'7", 335 pounds, leading the way for Eric Blunt for a pickup of about 3 yards on the last play. They have exactly 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Will Johnson getting tangled up inside, but the veteran defensive end is able to walk off to the Calgary sidelines.
Marvin Pope rolls him up right there on the ankle. And you talk about there's a lot of violence down there on the field, and a lot of body limbs swinging back and forth. He got caught there.
He has to go out for 3 plays. McManus completes the pass to Darren Flutie, and he's got a first down, the initial first down of the ball game for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Marvin Coleman got him by the ankle.
And how did we know Darren Flutie was going to catch that pass?
An 18-yard pickup for Darren Flutie.
Darren plays off the jam of Darryl Hall there, and the ball's well thrown. What a great throw with McManus. People had right in his face, and Darren does a good job of running after the catch.
You talked earlier about the number of plays where McManus and Flutie will ad-lib. You think that was one of them?
I think that was certainly a situation where they wanted to get him the ball and let him do whatever he wanted to do.
The scheme coming into the ball game for Edmonton offensively was to put the ball in the hands of Eddie Brown. They tried to go to him deep once. It failed to work. This time they go to the sidelines to Eddie Brown. And one of the reasons Ron Lancaster wants to see him handle the football 27 times this year, Brown has gained 20 or more yards on a play. On 10 occasions, 40 or more yards.
He's an incredible big game guy, big play guy.
Pass is complete to Tobert, and Tobert takes it down to the 15-yard line. 6:38 remaining in the first half.
Credit the offensive line here, Don, that just great protection for Danny to be able to hang on to the ball, because Tolbert's jammed upfield and plays off the jam and finally gets inside, and Danny makes a nice accurate throw. Look at the protection. Great protection. Nobody in his face. He can hang on, and finally Tolbert clears up, and a good throw. Edmonton's moving.
First and 10 for the Eskimos from the 15-yard line. A 27-yard pickup on that McManus to Tolbert completion. McManus out of the shotgun. McManus has time, looks to the corner of the end zone, and there appeared to be some miscue between the man the pass was intended for, Tolbert, and the defensive back, Davis.
Once again, this is great protection for McManus. He had time to look to his left. Combination coverage with 4 on 3 over there, nobody open. He goes back to the other side of the field. That was a throwaway. Danny taking care of the ball, throwing the ball out of bounds, minimizing the loss, minimizing a bad situation. He actually had Tony Burst leaking out for him, and Tony does a great job of doing that.
Brown comes wide to the left on the second down play from the 15-yard line. Looking to the end zone. Sandusky trying to pull it down with one hand. It was just a little too high.
Sandusky actually kept that from being intercepted. That ball was thrown high, and had he not got his hand on it, that would have been picked off by Davis, who was standing right behind him.
Sandusky started the year as the Eskimo receivers coach. Because of injury, he was pressed into action. He still runs the receiver meetings for the Eskimos, but he's a valuable man in their passing scheme.
Sandusky says has a tremendous influence on all the players. He works with them. Just he's the guy that's been around the game a long time. Good guy to be around.
Fleming attempting to move Edmonton in front with a 22-yard field goal try, and it's good. And so far, the kickers have provided all the scoring. 3 field goals by Sean Fleming, 2 by Mark McLaughlin, with 5:18 remaining in the half.
Welcome back. It's a well-remembered West final between the Stamps and the Eskimos from 1991. Remembered most of all for Pee Wee Smith's late touchdown catch from Danny Barrett. Pee Wee decided to go right home afterwards, all the way into the Stamps locker room, and they went on to the Grey Cup game on a 38-36 victory. Danny Barrett left the Stamps for a while, but has come back to them. He's number 2 on the depth chart now, but Don, I think most people believe he'll get a chance to play in this game today.
Well, they'll get a chance if Jeff Garcia struggles. Garcia was looking for Terry Vaughn. It will be 2nd and 10. A lot of people tend to forget, after the way Garcia performed a year ago and taking over from the injured Doug Flutie, that really, as a starting quarterback, this is Garcia's rookie season.
Yeah, Jeff came in a situation where he was a backup, so there really wasn't a lot of pressure on him to be the guy right off the start, and did such a great job. But the benefit of the teams with the dispersal draft this year, much better defenses across the league.
That's something he commented about. He said that he is seeing different looks defensively from a lot of teams this year than he did a year ago. Pass over the middle, incomplete. He was looking for Sapunjas, and it's 2 and out for Calgary with 4:42 remaining in the first half. And you have to wonder if Danny Barrett is going to get the word soon from Wally Buono to begin warming up. The 3rd tour of duty in a Calgary uniform for Danny Barrett.
I guarantee you that's in Danny's mind, too. He's wondering when he's going to get the call.
Well, you said yesterday that his body language in practice indicated that he was getting ready to play.
He was doing all the things that a starter would normally do during practice.
Martino isn't going to kick it. Yes, he will. He ran out of the pocket, got the kick away, and it goes out of bounds. Don Blair had no chance to return it as it bounced out of bounds. Martino flushed out of the pocket, and on the run, he was forced to kick it. Only a 27-yard punt by Tony Martino.
I think Martino decided he was going to try to pick up the first down right here, try to make a play for Calgary. There wasn't really any pressure on him, and then when things started to close down, he wisely kicked the ball, but I think they give up some yardage on the punt there by him trying to make something like that happen. Certainly wasn't called. I think he was really doing that on his own.
Winner of this game will go against the Toronto Argonauts in the Grey Cup game next Sunday at Iberwin Stadium in Hamilton. The Argos 43-7 winners over Montreal today. McManus almost intercepted. Jordan, who led the league in interceptions with 8 this year, went up high in front of Jim Sandusky, but couldn't pull it down.
And Danny's beating on his chest down there saying, that's my fault, that's my fault. Look at Eddie Brown coming right underneath, wide open there. The ball's thrown up the field, and Sandusky didn't even know the ball's thrown to him. That's a ball that has to be intercepted. The ball's there. Jordan's got to come up with that play. Danny threw the ball right to him. But he had Eddie Brown on the move, open underneath.
Eddie Brown lines up to the left this time against Marvin Coleman. Fake inside by McManus. McManus to burst, coming out of the backfield, and he's stopped for a loss of about 2 yards. Alondra Johnson came up to put the hit on Tony Burse.
They faked the draw play there and tried to slip Tony out into a screen. And Alondra Johnson just does a great job of reading and gets over and makes the play.
Well, during the course of the season, the Edmonton Eskimos, #1 defensively, giving up 354 points. Calgary only gave up 365. So there's not much wrong with this Calgary defensive unit. Flutie and Greg Knox having an exchange of words. 3:22 remaining in the half. 3rd down punt. Alondra Johnson came up the middle and almost got to it. It will be fielded by Coleman. Coleman bounced off one of his own players and brings it back to the 25. Signor Mobley was one of those downfield to make the tackle. Alvin Hunter was also there. A 51-yard punt, 12 yards on the return. Well, Garcia and Barrett have been a successful combination for the Stampeders this year, leading them to a first-place finish. Bruce Covington, very confident coming into this ball game. Of course, he had the misfortune to be injured in the first game of the 1995 season and missed the entire year. He did not get that trip to the Grey Cup in Saskatchewan last year. He'd love to go to Hamilton this year. Anderson, the ball carrier, to the outside for a pickup of about 3. 2:48 is the time remaining in the first half, with the Eskimos clinging to it. It's been pretty much a balanced attack so far for the Stampeders. 13 passing plays, 12 running plays. You had some interesting comments about Garcia during the break and some of his pass attempts.
Well, Jeff realizes it's a cold situation, and for his receivers to extend their hands and make catches, he's not going to get that. He needs to be a little bit more accurate with the football. He's fortunate he's got a running game going right now.
He operates from the shotgun. 3 receivers to either side of the field. Will he get a chance to throw, or will he be caught from behind? No, he does throw, but it was intended for Ford and almost deflected into the hands of an Edmonton defender. And I keep looking down at the Calgary bench to see whether Danny Barrett is up and warming up, but not so far.
That's really not, you know, the ball's a little behind. Ford's behind Ford. There's no question it's behind him. But he needs somebody to step up and make a catch for him. Here's Willie Pless just all over the field as he usually is, and gets in there and is able to get his hands on Ford to kind of disrupt that throw, or that catch. But again, Garcia just a little behind with the throw. He needs somebody to make a play for him. Give him some confidence. Get the chains moving for him.
The Gizmo, 24 times he has returned a punt for a touchdown. He was telling Ron Lancaster that he would run one back in this game if they kick it to me. And so far, they have kicked the ball in his direction twice, but this one will be, well, it's going to be picked up by the Gizmo. And there's going to be a penalty flag. Don Blair was the first man there, looking as though he was going to field it, but he didn't pick it up. And then the Gizmo raced in to scoop it up. Don Blair has played so many games here at McMahon Stadium as a star with the University of Calgary Dinosaurs, the Vanier Cup champions a year ago.
Smart play, good job. Smart play, Tony. That's right, we got smart rookies on this team.
Smart rookies, somebody is saying at the Edmonton bench.
No yards. Calgary number 31. First down.
Well, the star of the 68-7 semifinal win has not caught the football so far this afternoon, but I think as this game moves along, Jim Sandusky might become a key component in Danny McManus's passing plans.
Well, one thing you know is Jim will never lose sight of what's going on in the game, and he knows if the ball comes his way, he's going to do something with it.
Now, do you suppose McManus used a foot signal to call for the football there? On the exchange?
I think that's exactly what he did. Obviously, there's enough noise down there to where he feels like they need to go with a silent snap count, and that's his signal to the center to snap the ball within a couple of seconds. And I think that the crowd has been boisterous enough to where it give him a problem. Draw play to Blunt, and nothing there for him.
There's the move with the foot by Danny McManus. Pass is complete to Brown, and Brown will have a first down at about the 46-yard line. When he's operating out of the shotgun, McManus raises his right foot, indicating he wants the football.
This is a good read by Danny. It's a zone. He throws the ball outside. Leonard can't react on the football. And this is the guy they would like to see in the open field with the football, try to make a play. He picks up a first down for him.
1:47 remaining in the half. Let's watch his right foot. And Brown again. This time he will get, well, he'll be close to a first down depending on the spot. It looks as though it's about a yard shy of an Edmonton first down.
Well, it's obviously Eddie Brown said something last time he came underneath and said he was open. Here a ball thrown a little low. Eddie's got good hands, goes down and makes the catch. Now he's trying to make something happen and get upfield, and almost got his head taken off. Wisely got on the ground.
Well, Brown is the type of player you have to get involved early in the ball game to keep him involved in the football game. Tony Burst, the ball carrier, looking for a first down. He has a tendency at times to get down on himself.
Well, I think more than getting down on himself, he gets down on what's going on around him. He feels like he's out of the mix. He's certainly a guy you want to keep involved in what's going on, because he has the ability to turn a very small play into something huge. And I know that everybody on Calgary's team knows when he gets the football, they need to gang tackle him, because he makes one guy miss and suddenly it's a huge play.
Ron Lancaster was telling us each day when he and his son Ron head to practice, and Ron is the offensive coordinator, he said, if you got something in our game plan to get the ball into Eddie Brown's hands.
Okay, Calgary, let's hear from you, baby!
Coming up on our final Sunday halftime report, we'll head back to Skydome in Toronto, where the Argos shredded up the Alouettes to advance to the Grey Cup today, and we'll have some first half analysis done. I know that Chris Walby's been busy with me extolling the virtues of the defenses on both sides of the field today.
Yes, both defenses have been strong today. 57 seconds remaining in this first half. McManus swings it out to Burse, and Burse took on the defensive back, or McClanahan, the linebacker, and that was a pretty good collision over on the far side of the field.
That's a great collision. That's what Tony loves to do. He loves to go head to head, and you can see it's pumped up the defensive people over there on the Edmonton sideline. McClanahan's a guy that loves to play physical, and he certainly tackled one of the guys that may be one of the more physical fullbacks that's played this game.
But McClanahan has been in a bit of a surly mood all week. He certainly has had his game face on for about the past 6 days, and that's a pretty solid linebacking contingent. McClanahan with Darryl Hall and Alondra Johnson. The pass intended for Flutie, it bounced about 5 yards shy of the target, with 28 seconds remaining in the half.
Here's Darren Flutie again. This is an option route for Darren. Darren's going to hook inside, and he finds an area, and the ball's just underthrown. Will Johnson was in the face of Danny McManus. I think Danny wasn't able to get as much on the ball as he would have liked to. Certainly feels like he should have completed that pass.
Well, they may be talking about making a footwear adjustment at halftime. The snow removed from the artificial turf here at McMahon Stadium, but there is a slight dusting that could be a little slippery. The field goal attempt by Fleming, and he is a perfect 4 for 4, and the Eskimos double their advantage with 24 seconds remaining in the half. You were down in the field prior to the game, and Chris Walby was there as well, and there didn't seem to be any problem with footing.
I had a chance to talk to Danny Barrett before the game. He was out throwing some pass routes to Alan Pitts, and they didn't seem to be having any problem dropping and throwing, but they were wearing the shoe that Chris Walby alluded to in the pregame, the Destroyer. That seemed to be the shoe of choice, and those two players both had it on. I don't know what McManus is wearing.
From the 35, first and 10, 24 seconds remaining in the half. Anderson, the ball carrier, and Anderson gets a couple of blocks, loses the football. Calgary got it back. McNeil was able to pounce on the football. Boy, oh boy, 4 turnovers by the Stampeders this afternoon, and on 2 other occasions when they put it on the ground, they were able to get it back.
Well, if you think there's not any hitting going on in the field, watch this play. Here's Kelvin Anderson, a 1,000-yard rusher this year, and look at the pop from Mobley. Jars the ball loose, and Calgary's able to get back on it and prevent Edmonton from a number of opportunity to put some points on the board.
Second and 2 for the Stampeders with 9 seconds remaining in the half. Well, the horse that gallops up and down the sidelines here at McMahon Stadium is sitting anxiously by, awaiting an opportunity to gallop the 110 yards.
That horse looks like he's looking for the barn. Looks like to me.
Or the oat bucket. Well, it almost appears as though the Stampeders are going to just kill it. Well, they'll give it to Calvin Anderson. He's trying to get to the outside, and he does, but he's forced out of bounds. And that is the final play of the first half here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, with the Edmonton Eskimos, who came into this game as 6-point underdogs, leading by 6 points. The winner to advance to the Grey Cup game against the Toronto Argonauts, 43-7 winners over Montreal. Scott?
All right, Don, here is Chris Walby, our game day analyst, with us at field level at McMahon Stadium. Chris, when's the last time you saw the Stampeders turn it over 4 times in the first quarter? But is not the story of this game to this point the Stampeders defense getting its offense off the hook?
Well, all week you've been hearing about Edmonton's defense. Their front 7, they're all getting all-stars, and all I've been hearing from Calgary is, when are we going to get some respect? And I think they've got a lot of respect. They've shown a great game. They're playing a great game. They're keeping themselves in the game, because I tell you right now, Calgary's offense is struggling. They move the ball a little bit, then they cough it up, and they haven't done what they need to do to win this game. And every time they do that, it gives Danny McManus just that little bit much more time to get organized and get his rhythm, and if he does, it's going to make for a long afternoon.
But still, the Edmonton front 7 has been all that it's been cracked up to be, and Benny Goode's making it a tough day for Jeff Garcia.
Benny Goodes makes it tough for everybody. Here he is exhibiting a sack right now. We had to play Benny Goodes, and I tell you what, most men one-on-one can't block the man. He's that tough.
All right, 30 minutes complete in the West Final. The Eskimos have the lead in a game that's measuring up to the high standard of defense these teams often set. We'll continue with our final Sunday halftime report. Well, there's no questioning the loyalty of the fans who've turned out at McMahon Stadium today, but forget the temperature. It's the Eskimos who've made them a tad uncomfortable as they lead at the half. Don Whitman and David Archer standing by now with some first half analysis of this defensive ball game. And Don, I think they call this smash mouth football.
Smash mouth football is right, Scott, and I think the tone was set on the opening kickoff. You spoke with Tony Burst prior to the game, and he said he wanted to get involved early, and indeed he did.
Well, I've played with Tony, and Tony told me that he has to have that first hit, and he certainly made the first hit. Coleman receives the kickoff, and he takes a tremendous shot from Tony, and of course Maurice makes the recovery. Tony says he's not into the ball game unless he makes an initial hit on the kickoff. Whether he gets knocked down or not, he really doesn't make any difference, but there he made a nice play.
He said the last 2 times these teams met, there was a lot of trash talking going on between the 2 clubs, and he said the feelings would be very high this afternoon.
Yeah, both teams like to talk, and this is certainly gives Kavis Reed an opportunity to talk. He catches a tip pass from Jeff Garcia, and these are the things that Jeff couldn't afford to do. He didn't want to turn the football over, and although Wally's got to be pretty disappointed in where they are, he's got to be fortunate. He's got to feel fortunate that his defense has played as well as they have.
Yeah, in the dressing room, I'm sure he's stressing that fact. Hey, you've turned it over 4 times. You put it on the ground 2 other occasions and didn't lose it, but you're only down by 6.
He's got to feel extremely good how, as well as the defense has played, but I know he's disappointed in his offense. That's what Calgary's known for, is their offensive football, and they'll be geared up coming in the second half.
And Ron Lancaster, I'm sure, is saying you kept him out of the end zone in the first half. Do it again in the second, and we're Grey Cup bound. Scott?
Don, right you are. 30 minutes of regulation time separating the Eskimos from their second appearance in the Grey Cup in 4 years. Chris Walby, our game day analyst, is up when we come back to Calgary.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Corel WordPerfect Suite 7. 32-bit office, graphics, and internet power.
As we head to the second half of the West Final, here's what the Stampeders have to contend with. A 6-point Edmonton lead, and while we have a chance, kudos to our lead stagehand, Rob Lefroy, for constructing this booth that's helping to keep Chris Walby and I warm. Chris Walby, 16-year offensive lineman, is our game day analyst, doesn't look a day over 40 years of age. Chris,
pretty good, thank you.
Danny McManus and the Eskimos posted 68 points last week, but took a quarter and a half to even get a first down in this game. What do they have to do to get the offense going in the second half?
Well, I think he's got to start mixing it up a little bit, and I know that's easy to say, but I think they have a little success. They use a shovel pass, and I'd like to see them get Burst involved, that big fullback. I mean, they're all keying on Blunt. Let's get Burst involved here, get him swinging outside. Let's do some screen passes. You got to mix it up against Calgary's defense, because they're all coming up tight to the line, and they're putting a lot of pressure on them.
Stampeders seem to rise to the occasion when Danny Barrett comes in relief. Is the stage set for him now to come in and fire up the Stampeder offense?
Well, I think it is. I think, you know, I don't know if he was going to just give him a little bit more chance, maybe half a quarter, and then put Barrett in, but it looks like Barrett probably come in this third quarter. The thing that could backfire on him, though, is if Barrett comes in and does not move the club, and you have to go back to Garcia. That could backfire in you big time.
Chris, what Calgary did to Edmonton in the first half of this game defensively should prove to the Bombers, who got walloped 68-7 in Edmonton last week, that there is a way to play this Eskimo offense. That's not a question as much as it is a comment, but go ahead and respond.
Well, no, I think that's right. I mean, I'm not going to say we weren't prepared for the game. I mean, obviously, when you don't have your proper shoes, and we should have just put screws on. Had I been there, and I'm telling you right now, I had screws bigger than this building in my shoes, I would have had grip. I guarantee you that.
Get off the footwear stuff, for goodness sake. All right, 2 quarters of regulation time, and we'll know who will compete against the Argos in the 84th Grey Cup game. Don?
Well, down at the Calgary bench, the team huddles up prior to the kickoff to get the second half underway, and it will be interesting to see whether it will be Danny Barrett or Jeff Garcia at the controls. It took a while for the Edmonton Eskimos to do anything offensively, 77 passing yards. They picked up 50 of those yards on their third field goal drive. Prior to that, they had managed just 11 yards offensively. Turnovers have been a factor. It's interesting, you know, when you take a look at Danny Barrett now shedding his jacket, and I think that's an indication he's coming in. He wears gloves. Jeff Garcia does not wear gloves, and Barrett said that he wears the gloves in this cold weather. He does have that pouch attached to his waist as well, but he gets a good grip on the football with the gloves. Have you ever worn the gloves, David Archer, as a quarterback?
I've worn the gloves. I've never worn them in a game. I've practiced in them, but never worn them in a game. Just never felt comfortable enough. This is an old pair of gloves that Danny's had for a long time, so he's got a lot of confidence in him. Plus, he's a veteran. He knows what he can get away with. Some of the younger guys don't realize what they can do with some of the equipment nowadays.
Coleman and Anderson are back, and Coleman will field the kickoff to start the second half. Coleman runs into some traffic and is brought down at the 35-yard line by Don Blair. A 62-yard kickoff, 25 yards on the return, and Danny Barrett, who is going to take over the controls. 11 touchdown passes this year. 2 passes were intercepted, and you hear the response of the spectators here at McMahon Stadium as they see Danny Barrett come onto the field. There have been games this year where Danny Barrett has come in and replacing Jeff Garcia and directed the Stampeders to victory, and he's calling for quiet from the crowd. He's more of a pocket passer than Jeff Garcia. Penalty flag in the play as he hands off to Calvin Anderson. There haven't been many penalty flags this afternoon.
It's been a well-played game. I think that's an indication of the coaches.
Only 3 calls, all against Calgary. That's a procedure call against the Stampeders. John Ireland, the referee this afternoon. So let's listen to Jake Ireland.
Calgary number 18, decline, second down.
Penalty is declined, and it will be 2nd and 8 for Calgary. Garcia completed 6 of 14 in the first half. 2 of his passes were intercepted. Barrett from the shotgun. He finds Anderson, and Anderson is going to be stopped short of a first down by Darian Hagan.
That's a nice play by Darian Hagan, because if he doesn't make the tackle, Anderson's up the sideline for a first down. Barrett makes a good, strong throw to the sideline, but Hagan makes the play. Here, Danny surveys the coverage. He sees that he's got the man open to the outside. It's Kelvin Anderson, his running back. This is a nice one-on-one field tackle by Hagan. You don't realize how difficult that is. That's a running back that has done a great job for him this year, over 1,000 yards rushing. He does a great job when he gets the ball in his hands, but Darian Hagan, ex-QB of the Colorado Buffaloes, won a national championship down there, finished, I think, 5th in the Heisman balloting. Heck of a football player.
You never thought about playing defensive back, did you?
Not after my 4th grade year.
Martino's 3rd down punt. Taken by the Gizmo. He gets to the sidelines and then runs out of room. Forced out by Dwayne Ford. He's done a lot of work with Don Blair, teaching him how to run north-south. Don't make those lateral moves. Split that first wave of defenders, and you're gone. And he and Blair have been doing a lot of work in that area.
And Don took one back early in the year against Winnipeg. I'm sure Chris Walby remembers that one. It was a big return, about an 85-yard return. And he says that Giz doesn't do a lot of talking. He just kind of shows him by example. And Blair has obviously picked up on some of the things that Giz has been able to do, because when you look at the stats, there's no one that's ever been better in this league at returning punts.
That game you talked about in Winnipeg, both Blair and Gizmo returned a punt for a touchdown. McManus operating from the shotgun. Flutie underneath, close to a first down as he takes the ball up near the midfield stripe.
There's the Darren Flutie option route. Darren and Jim Sandusky are stacked to the bottom of the screen, and here's Danny Mac just reacting to what Darren does. He says that he really doesn't know what Darren's going to do or what Jim's going to do. He just reacts to what they end up running, and then he tries to get the ball out there as best he can.
Well, Darren was saying he'd love another matchup in a Grey Cup game against his brother Doug, and Doug has completed his part of the deal as he led the Toronto Argonauts to next Sunday's Grey Cup game at Iberwin Stadium in Hamilton, and now Tony Burse goes straight ahead for a first down. And the Edmonton Eskimos have the ball inside the Calgary half of the field at the 53.
First and 10, Eskimos at the Calgary 54.
McManus moves up under the center. There's the toss to Blunt. Lead block by Burse, but he couldn't take the three defenders out of the way, and McClanahan was there to make the tackle with help from Ernie Brown.
Tony's unable to make the block at the point of attack, which is where the ball's coming. Here's McClanahan coming up. His job is to contain. Here he takes on Tony Burse and spins to the inside and is in on the tackle. That's a heck of a play by McClanahan, because Burse goes about 240, and he put all of it right into him on that block.
Pickup of 3. It will be 2nd and 7 for the Eskimos. McManus moves back into the shotgun formation. Blunt comes back inside the block. There's the pass complete to Flutie, and this will be another Edmonton first down. Not much doubt that Darren Flutie is the go-to guy on key second down plays for the Eskimos.
Well, Danny told us that whenever he got in a situation where he needed to convert and move the chains, Darren Flutie was the guy he was going to look to if he felt he had man coverage, which he did there. Darren's man playing way off of him, and Darren just goes down, turns, looks to the inside, and Danny with an accurate throw.
4 receptions for 44 yards for Flutie. 3 receivers wide to the right. McManus throwing deep down the sidelines, just beyond the reach of Eddie Brown. He was in a foot race down the sidelines with Marvin Coleman, and McManus overthrew him by about 1 stride.
This is a situation where Eddie Brown is isolated on probably one of the best corners in the league, maybe the best corner, Marvin Coleman. He has such a great feel for when to jump routes and when not to. That time, Eddie Brown, with his speed, who's a big play guy, got behind him. I think Danny had to wait so long for Eddie to determine whether he was going to come underneath Coleman or go over the top that he had to lay the ball up. The pressure was getting to him, and that ended up being the difference in catching the football.
Now Brown has shifted between a slot back and a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver here, and the ball is fumbled by McManus.
Number 34 recovers.
Will Johnson stripped it away from McManus, and the Eskimos were fortunate that they were able to get it back.
Will Johnson, just a physical presence, physical force, goes through a Tony Burse block, and Tony scrambles back and covers the fumble. But Tony's like an offensive lineman, but he doesn't get the job done here. Will Johnson, who's a premier pass rusher in this league, just runs right through him.
Marvin Pope was slow in getting up, and he limps off to the sidelines. Pope was saying he's got something to prove in this Western final. He wants to atone for what he regards as just a so-so season. 10:35 remaining in the third quarter. Neither side has yet been able to score a touchdown. The Eskimos leading 12-6. Excellent punt by Glenn Harper, his best of the day, taken by Coleman at the 4. Don Blair did a good job of fighting off the block, not allowing Coleman to get to the outside. That was a 43-yard kick, 13 yards on the return.
Calgary-Stampeders. Stampeders.
Special teams players often play a vital role in victory, and Don Blair has been a force this afternoon for Edmonton.
Yeah, Don's responsibility is contained, and you see right there, he keeps Coleman from getting to the outside and even gets his hand on Coleman, slows him up, and here come the troops to make the play.
Danny Barrett operating from the shotgun from his own 16-yard line. 1st and 10, Calgary. Vaughn is open on the sidelines, and Darian Hagan finally brings him down, and there's a late penalty flag. This could be a face mask call against Edmonton.
Danny Barrett, a veteran quarterback. He's got a lot of people in the pass pattern. He senses that Cavis Reed is playing way off of Terry Vaughn to the wide side of the field, and he comes back and sticks him with the ball. And then Vaughn, who we've said all day is their danger man after he catches the football.
The face mask call should go against Darian Hagan.
Face mask. Edmonton number 3. 1st down.
Hagan coming over to help Cavis Reed. There is a tendency on the part of Cavis Reed to sometimes play it a little soft.
He does play off a little bit, which makes Hagan have to come over and cover up for a missed tackle. If he's going to play that far off, then Cavis is going to have to come up with a tackle, because if Vaughn gets by somebody, it's going to take an extremely good play by Hagan there to keep you from going all the way down the sidelines for a touch.
This time, Vaughn lines up wide left. Handoff inside to Calvin Anderson, and Anderson will pick up about 6 or 7 yards. Coming into this game, many people probably thought that the advantage in the ground game lay with the Edmonton Eskimos, but Calgary has had more success running the ball.
They really have. They've done a good job of running the football. Edmonton plays such a wide front that it gives good angles for the offensive linemen to get on. Here it's just a little counter play. Anderson gets in behind his blocks and makes a nice gain in the middle.
Down, 3 Stampeders at the
Vaughn lines up wide left again, and you see that Cavis Reed gives him about a 10-yard cushion. Barrett on 2nd down had his arm hit just as he released, and the ball falls harmlessly to the artificial turf here at McMahon Stadium, and the Calgary Stampeders, trailing by a half dozen points, are forced to kick it away again.
This is the beauty of this defense. They're able to get pressure on the quarterback with just 4 people rushing. There's Benny Goods, who Chris Walby's talked about all day long, and rightly so. Right there, runs right through the man blocking him and makes a big hit on Barrett and disrupts the pass play.
They make so many changes in their front 7 during the course of a game, during the course of a series, but they always seem to have fresh people in there defensively. Gizmo takes the 3rd down kick. Calgary doing an excellent job in defending against him. A lot of teams are afraid of the Giz, but Calgary appears intent on kicking it to him. Four turnovers have proven costly for the Calgary Stampeders. Not as costly as they might be, as 4 field goals is all that Edmonton could get out of those turnovers. McLaughlin has kicked 2 for Calgary. There has not been a whole bunch of movement of the football up and down the field this afternoon. Both sides playing very well defensively. Now it's Edmonton's turn. 1st and 10 from the 22. 8:30 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Incomplete. Intended for Darren Flutie, and Anthony McClanahan was defending.
This is a high throw by McManus, and when you put the ball up high, when a team's playing zone coverage, it exposes your wide receivers, and here's a guy you can ill afford to lose. Darren Flutie is his main guy. Here's McClanahan just reacting to the football. Big shot on Darren Flutie.
Boy, he got the shoulder right into the chest area as Flutie was fully extended, reaching for the football. Flutie, the leading receiver this year for the Eskimos, 86 catches, 1,362 yards. They can ill afford to lose a receiver of his caliber.
Well, I think what's bothering Darren the most on this hit is if you watch, when you see the replay again, he gets a tremendous shot to his head, and his head reacts to the hit, the helmet hitting the jaw area and the upper chest area, and that seems to be bothering him a little bit.
Well, all you have to do, David, is call for it, and our director will gladly provide it.
Here's McClanahan, one of the more aggressive linebackers in the league. What to see the head whip around right there. Tremendous shot. And that a lot of time often results in some type of concussion. We can only hope that Darren comes back and can play in this ball game, because he's one of the big play guys for Edmonton.
So now Don Blair comes into the ball game as a replacement for the injured Darren Flutie. McManus looking to Eddie Brown, incomplete. And the Eskimos will be forced to kick it away. And you see Danny McManus, a man of very few words, indicate that may have been his fault.
Well, the one thing you get with Danny is you know that he's never going to get down on himself. He can make a lot of mistakes in a ball game and still come back and beat you. This game is so close, and in fact, he's done the things that he knew he wanted to do, is not turn the football over. His team's ahead right now.
The Eskimos haven't been very productive this year offensively. This is the lowest scoring Edmonton team since 1985. Moore fields the third down punt. He's met head-on by Jay Hamilton and driven back to the 50-yard line. As we see the Edmonton defense come on the field, Chris Walby, David Archer made a comment about the wide gaps in their front four defensively. Is this tough as an offensive lineman to play against?
Well, most certainly, because of the fact that you can't get a key. You start to get used to one guy, and they shift another guy in there, and he's got a different whole style. One guy's a spinner, one guy's a speed rush, next guy's a bull rush, so you have a hard time setting. And that's what Edmonton's doing, and that's giving Calgary a little bit of problems.
Chris, how difficult it is for an offensive lineman to have the continuous change of personnel?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing. You want one guy so you can start getting used to him, so you can change your technique up on him, but you just haven't got a chance with this revolving door.
First and 10 from the midfield stripe. Barrett goes to the sidelines to Terry Vaughn. And Vaughn does an excellent job of breaking tackles and taking it inside the 30-yard line.
This is the strength of Terry Vaughn. He runs a real short route. Danny reads the coverage, throws the ball underneath, and here's another situation where you have a missed tackle. Danny reads the coverage, throws the ball outside. Vaughn comes back to the ball, and now Malcolm Frank, who's one of the more sure tacklers in the secondary, Vaughn makes him miss. Makes Glenn Rogers, who's one of the big tacklers in that secondary, miss. So Vaughn now stepping up. This is something Alan Pitts talked about the other day. He talked about other guys other than himself and Sapunjas having to step up and make plays. Here comes Terry Vaughn.
A 26-yard pickup by Terry Vaughn. First and 10 Calgary from the 29-yard line. 6:59 remaining in the third quarter. The clock running. Calgary trailing by 6 points. Barrett from the shotgun, looks over the middle, and he's got Sapunjas for a first down. Sapunjas trying to get more. He's brought down at the 12. And Sapunjas is complaining about the tackle. I think he may have felt that there was a face mask involved. Darian Hagan finally brought him down.
You can see Danny's body language. He's just really excited out there. Here's a good read. Sapunjas, who reads the coverage so well, hooks up in the zone, and then Spunge, who doesn't get a lot of credit for what he does after the catches with the football. Look at him making people miss. Darian Hagan, another big tackle.
And that's what Sapunjas was complaining about. Hagan did grab him by the face mask. Right here.
It's a little easier to pull him down when you got hold of that piece of metal on the face.
The deepest penetration by the Stampeders. Barrett from the shotgun. Operating behind center, Jamie Crysdale. He's got time, looks deep in the end zone. Incomplete. He was looking for Danielson in the end zone. And it will be 2nd and 10.
Danny Barrett does such a good job of reading. He's a veteran player. Here he is getting the signal from Halfnagel. Here he is taking a shot down the field. That deep end zone allows him to throw this deep pass. Mobley gets back in time and knocks it away. Danny was a little late throwing the ball, which made Danielson have to pull up, and Mobley's able to get back and knock it away.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 13 of the Eskimos. 12-6. Edmonton leads. No touchdown so far in this game. Pitts is open. At the 10-yard line, he struggles down to about the 8. They are well short, however, of a first down. Mobley was over to make the tackle on Alan Pitts. 2 big plays by the Edmonton linebacker, going deep with Danielson, then coming up on Pitts.
Well, real good coverage here this time. This time they play combination coverage again, like we've talked about all week long, or all game long. And here Mobley is coming up and making the tackle. Pitts has to sit down. He's got a read on. He sits down underneath the coverage. And Mobley's job is to make him catch the ball underneath and then tackle him so he can't pick up the first down, and he does his job.
Bruce Covington is receiving treatment as Danny Barrett makes his way over to the sidelines. Pat Clayton, the athletic therapist for the Stampeders, checking the left ankle of Bruce Covington.
Well, so often the Edmonton defense does a great job in the area that Calgary calls the green zone. They come up and make a stop, keep them out of the end zone, and force the field goal. This is why a lot of times during the season they lead the league in fewest points given up, which they did again this year. Bruce Covington in there blocking, gets the ankle twisted. Chris Walby knows about that, boy. Those guys. Walby's played 16, 17, 40 years. I don't know how long he's played, but I don't know how those guys play so long in the trenches. You got to be a man to play down in there.
I think the definition of a man fits Chris Walby. We won't talk about his weight, but it's a little over 300 pounds, I think. McLaughlin with a field goal attempt of 15 yards. And it's a 3-point game with 5:25 remaining in the third quarter. The kickers have accounted for all the scoring.
Back in Calgary, the Eskimo lead's been cut to 3 points. There's the Edmonton defense, and here's Chris Walby with a comment on who's winning the battle in the trenches where you've lived your whole CFL life.
Well, right now I think both defenses are winning the battle, and the fact that there's no touchdown scored. Edmonton's moving the ball a little bit. Calgary moved the ball a little bit there, but they didn't. They bent, but they didn't broke, and that's the thing.
All right, Don, we weighed the shed and subtracted Chris Walby's weight and found that he's 320 pounds.
McManus trying to dump it off, and Burst could not hang on. May have been just as well for Burst because he had McClanahan right there with him.
Yeah, McClanahan's right there. Tony talked about this play yesterday when I had a chance to speak with him. He's going to jam Johnson right here. Well, he fakes like he's going to jam him, and then he goes to the flat, and Danny puts the ball on him, but he didn't catch it. Hall was there to make the play, though.
It will be 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Sandusky is open. He slips at the 50-yard line, but he's got a first down. Ron Lancaster was saying he uses his eyes so well in running his patterns.
Well, he's been in the league so long that he understands what's going on in coverage, and here he reads the zone and comes inside the underneath coverage. And this is probably the best throw Danny's made in the game. He really throws this with some authority, really steps in and lets it go. Takes a shot right there at the end from Pope. But a heck of a throw, really put it on him.
1st and 10 from the 50-yard line. McManus throwing into an open area. It falls between 2 Calgary defenders, Greg Knox and Kenton Leonard. It will be 2nd and 10.
That was a throwaway, but it was a dangerous throwaway. A lot of good protection up front. Danny's got a lot of time to sit and wait, and finally Harding decides to put a little pressure on him, and Danny throws the ball away.
Calgary coaching staff was saying that McManus is a time thrower.
Well, what that means is he likes to drop back, set up, and get the ball out of there. When you make him wait, it throws his rhythm off, and it certainly throws the pattern off that he's trying to throw, and they're making him wait.
Out of the shotgun. Tobert can't hang on.
There's a lot of hitting going on out there, and Jordan comes in and jars this ball loose. Danny makes another good throw. Tolbert coming inside the coverage, and Jordan breaks on the ball and breaks it up. You see Tony Burst there clearing out, and here comes Tolbert underneath, and watch Jordan jar the ball loose right there. That's good coverage, good football playing, and there's the guy that seems to be around the ball all day long today. McClanahan's right there.
Well, the crowd at McMahon Stadium this afternoon, well short of capacity, but they are certainly making a lot of noise. Harper's 3rd down punt being angled angled towards the sidelines. Coleman waits, picks it up. He was hoping to draw a flag, but there's no nylon on the artificial turf here at McMahon. 3:30 is the time remaining in the third quarter. Ron Lancaster took over on the 4th of February, 1991 as the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, leaving the broadcast booth to become a head coach again in the CFL after a brief stint as the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 71 wins, 38 losses during his coaching career.
I'd say he gets the job done when you're done.
There's a possibility for you to move from up here to the coaching ranks.
That's too tough a job. I don't want any of that.
Sapunjas makes the catch.
You know, I saw Danny before the game down throwing the football, and he was doing some of these things, moving. He anticipated being in this ball game. You could tell just by the body language all week. We talked about that. And here's a guy that just seems to always get open in big games. And Dave Sapunjas running the out route against zone. He gets 2 clear out routes, and he catches the ball underneath for a nice 7 or 8 yard. Looks like a 9-yard pickup. So again, positive yardage on first down allows Danny to do some things that you wouldn't normally be able to do if you're in second and long.
The short yardage offense comes out. Sapunjas felt quite confident in conversations we had with him that Calgary would do well today. But this Edmonton Eskimo defense has stymied them. Barrett keeping. It's going to be close.
On the quarterback sneak.
Willie Pless came driving up hard. So did Singor Mobley.
And there will be a measurement.
And it looks as though they're going to have to measure again. Sapunjas was with Scott Oak last week up in Edmonton watching that 68-7 Eskimo route of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as our game day analyst. A role being handled today by Chris Walby, who unfortunately for the Bombers was unable to play last week. And Chris, you're out with that knee injury problem. You still haven't had surgery. When do you go under the knife?
Actually, I go on December 12th, and I wish it was a little earlier, but I'm excited. But let's get back to the game, big man.
Way to toss it back, Chris. Third down gamble. Stampeders. Danny Barrett dives ahead, and this time should have it.
Well, Danny dove the right direction because Malvin Hunter comes clean right through the middle. They go right over the top of Benny Goods, who gets a tremendous push, but Malvin Hunter on the other side of the line broke clean, and Danny leaned away from him and was able to get enough for the first down.
Terry Vaughn goes wide right this time. Statistically, the Stampeders have moved the ball much more effectively than Edmonton, but they trail by 3. Calvin Anderson runs into some traffic, and there are 3 Eskimos in there to bring him down. Willie Pless being one of them, along with Leroy Blue.
Benny Good, Malvin Hunter.
Well, the defensive front has stepped it up a little bit. They're trying to shut the run down. They realize they have to take something away from Barrett, and they're going to try to take the run game away. And here's Mal Hunter cutting off the cutback. Anderson was looking for the cutback, but there was nothing there as Mal Hunter was closing from the front side, and of course Willie Pless again on another play.
This time on 2nd and 7, Vaughn lines up to the left. Vaughn makes the catch. He had the defender all over him, but he was still able to pull the pass in.
Well, Danny Barrett's got a strong arm, and he's throwing the ball to the wide side of the field quite a bit today, and Vaughn seems to be his target. The beauty of this throw is watch Vaughn continue to work back to the ball. If he hadn't worked back to the ball, Cavis Reed might have been able to break in front and pick it off, but Vaughn continued to work back and makes a catch. And there's the vet standing in there taking a shot from Mal Hunter, but making some plays for his team.
Cavis Reed closed very well on Terry Vaughn, but he was still able to concentrate on the flight of the football and haul it in for a first down. Fake inside by Barrett. That shovel pass doesn't work.
Jed Roberts covers the football, but it's...
The defensive front for Edmonton, it's just tough to fool them. They do such a good job of reading plays, and McCready's all over this play, as well as Mal Hunter preventing Danny from getting outside, and they just do a good job of reading plays on the way to the quarterback. I think that's what they do so well, is they want to get to the quarterback and throw him down, but they read through the run to get to the passer. And again, they shut that play down. There was nothing there for Danny. Pretty much just threw it away.
Bruce Covington, again having problems with an ankle he injured earlier. He limps off to the sidelines. Ron Meyer will come in, and that will probably mean some adjustments up front, with Rocco Romano probably moving back to the tackle position. Yeah, Meyer, number 63, moves in at guard, and Romano moves out to Covington's tackle spot. Down the sidelines for Pitts. He can't make the catch.
He's receiver. It's incomplete.
Glenn Rogers was defending against Pitts, and that appears to be the shadow job that has been assigned the Edmonton defensive back.
Don Rogers a lot of times ends up man-to-man on Alan Pitts, simply because Don always plays the short side of the field, and Alan ends up on the short side of the field. Or, I'm sorry, Glenn Rogers. I played for the Don Rogers. That's why I can't get that one out of my mind.
Jeff Garcia started the game, played the first half, and Danny Barrett has been the quarterback for Calgary in this second half.
Well, there's immediately the change in line, and McCready takes advantage of it and comes inside, and you weren't able to get any block from the running back there, and Barrett takes a shot. Here's the matchup we've talked about. Rogers playing a little bit of an outside technique on him. The ball's underthrown, and Glenn steps in and makes a nice play and strips the ball out.
But in the process, Rogers, as he came down out of bounds, was injured and is now being helped off to the Eskimo bench. He was in a very awkward position as he fell.
Looks like Alan Pitts fell on his ankle as he was coming down. That's a tough guy right there. He'll be back in the ball game. Does a great job of taking away Allen's. Allen likes to run a lot of out routes, a lot of corner routes, and he plays outside shoulder, which kind of takes away that. Trent Brown talked about making sure Rogers played the outside technique so he would be able to cover him up on the inside.
This should be the final play of the third quarter. We have not had a touchdown scored so far in this Western final. The Gizmo races up to take this third down punt. And he's forced out of bounds almost immediately. Darrell Hall pushed him out. It's amazing when you think 24 punt returns for touchdowns, and he has had more called back because of penalty than anybody else has ever scored. Very much as the offensive tackle Bruce Covington is finished for the afternoon, and this could pose some problems, David, for Calgary's O-line, in that an inexperienced player, Ron Meyer, has to move into the guard position and deal with people like Derek McCready, who beat him on the last play.
Well, that's a situation that you certainly don't want to be in as a coach, to have to put in a young guy and realizing the magnitude of this ball game, put a young guy who's been standing on the sidelines, is probably cold standing over there. They have to come in and block the McCreadys and the Vinnie Goods.
This is the statistical story of this ball game, and that's numeral second from the bottom on the right-hand side. 4 turnovers has been very much a factor, as the Edmonton Eskimos were able to capitalize and get 2 field goals as a result, and they lead by 3 points. Incomplete. It was intended for Blunt.
That was a screen pass. They faked the draw and set a screen up for Blunt to the short side of the field, but Calgary's linebackers are smelling out these little dumps to the running backs and not allowing McManus to get the ball to him.
Well, in contrast to the Eastern Final, this has been a knock-em-down, drag-em-out battle. Toronto, in case you missed it earlier today, defeating Montreal 43-7. Don Matthews and company heading for the Grey Cup. Brown loses the football. They're ruling no catch. Calgary will protest that he had possession and they knocked it loose, but the official there ruled no catch.
Now this is Eddie Brown to the wide side of the field. Eddie a lot of times the short side of the field. Here's a good throw by McManus. Puts it right on Eddie Brown as Eddie's coming to the inside. Never got his feet down on the ground, it didn't look like, and the ball is stripped out of there. Might have had an argument there, though, Don. It was close. Here's a good look at it. Brown's got the ball. That's very close.
Question is whether or not he ever had possession. Penalty flag. It looked as though it was offside against Edmonton. Coleman takes the third down punt. And he is forced out of bounds close to the Edmonton bench at the 42-yard line. The penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. It looked as though an Edmonton defender jumped prematurely.
Edmonton captain.
Well, this is a penalty they would have to take, I would think.
Or maybe procedure against
Number, Billy. Offside. Calgary number 28. Decline. First down.
No, they're not going to take the penalty. I thought they would let them punt out again. Calgary's got pretty good field position at their own 42 here.
14-13 remaining in the ball game. Danny Barrett directing the attack from the 42. Terry Vaughn lines up wide to the right. Barrett is going deep. Vaughn's looking for it, and it's knocked away by Cavis Reed.
They had him. They ran the hook and go. They'd been able to get the ball to Vaughn 2 or 3 times outside of the wide side with a curl route. This time they hook and go Cavis Reed, and he jumps it. That's a long throw to make from one hash all the way to the outside part of the wide side of the field. Not many guys can do it. Danny may be one of the only guys that can do it. That one's a little underthrown. He actually had Vaughn open and just didn't get it to him.
I think the ball actually bounced off the helmet of Cavis Reed as he turned back to the quarterback and got a hand up.
Second down and 10 to Calgary 42.
The safety, Trent Brown, had moved over to help him defend against Vaughn. It will be second and 10 from the 42-yard line. 13:30 remaining in the game. Over the middle to Anderson. He's wide open. Anderson takes it to the 41.
Well, it's just a little crossing route by Anderson underneath. He actually crosses with Terry Vaughn, who they switch him up and put Terry Vaughn in the slot to the short side of the field. Vaughn comes underneath, and right there you see Kelvin Anderson coming up, and nobody's there. And now Kelvin's doing the thing he likes to do best, and that's run with it.
26 yards for Calvin Anderson, who was saying earlier this week that these frigid, snowy conditions in Calgary, something new to him in his football career. But he's played well for the Stampeders this afternoon. Barrett for Anderson. This time he can't pull it in.
Calvin Anderson goes in.
Well, a snap ball that bothered Danny there a little bit. He wasn't able to get the ball seated to make the quick throw. He wanted to hit Anderson underneath because that's what coverage dictated they were going to give him. The bobbled snap or the low snap didn't allow him to get the ball set. He makes a throw, and it's behind Anderson. Tough play for Anderson to make there.
Differing situations at the quarterback position. All the plays for the Calgary quarterbacks, whether it's Garcia or Danny Barrett, are called by offensive coordinator John Huffnagel. Edmonton quarterback Danny McManus calls his own plays. Barrett to the sidelines. Danielson can't hang on. He had to go high.
Danielson goes incomplete.
Darian Hagan was defending against him. So the Stampeders bring out Mark McLaughlin to try and tie this game at 12 points each. A 49-yard field goal attempt for Mark McLaughlin.
But the two coaches today sure have got some great play from their defenses. They've been the story today, Ron.
46, 36, and 15-yard successful kicks for McLaughlin. Can he tie it at 12 with a 49-yard try? It's short. Picked up by the Giz, and the Giz has a hole. Oh, he's caught from behind at the 50-yard line by Dwayne Ford. He has that quick acceleration. He splits those first two downfield tacklers, and he came very close to taking him all the way. Well, the strength of Gizmo's return, splitting those first two downfield tacklers, and he returned the missed field goal attempt 51 yards. He came dangerously close to taking it all the way.
This is a thing that teams work on. They actually really work on the returns off of missed field goals. And I don't think there's anybody in the league you'd rather have the ball in their hands to return a kick than. And you see Wally's upset. Well, I think Wally's probably upset about going for the field goal and then the fact that they didn't cover it the way they'd practiced.
Danny McManus from the shotgun, looking over the middle. Flutie, who was injured earlier, back in the football game, providing Edmonton with what should be a first down, taking it to the 50 of the Stampeders.
Darren just does a great job of reading coverage. Watch Darren here. This is an option route for him. He comes inside, reads the coverage, sees the coverage, just sits it down. Around Alondra, makes Alondra come up, and he goes north and south, which is beautiful. He gets straight up the field to pick up the extra yardage.
Again from the shotgun, McManus looking out into the flat area to Blunt, and Blunt is upended by Coleman with a pickup of about 3. 11 minutes remaining. 12-6. The Eskimos lead the Stampeders.
Danny really has quite an asset in his two running backs because they really catch the ball well coming out of the backfield. Blunt and Tony Burst both catch the ball well, and then Blunt makes him miss the tackle, and Coleman has to come up and make the hit. Another positive play on first down for Edmonton.
McManus over the middle for Brown. Brown trying to get wide, and he's brought down. Darrell Hall and Davis combined in making the tackle. He was trying to break free from the two Calgary defenders, but could not escape them.
Now, a lot of times you don't like the receiver to lose ground to make a play, but this is one where Eddie's probably not going to be able to make anything happen unless he does this. Here, Danny has a lot of time. He throws the ball underneath to Eddie, shakes the tackle, and now Eddie knows he has nothing. And they're not in field goal range, so he tries to get to the outside and pick up a block, and he can't get there, and subsequently they're going to punt the football. But a lot of times you don't like him to lose ground, but I think in that situation he was trying to make something happen, and it didn't really hurt his team.
Coleman awaits this third down kick by Harper. Moore will field it. And Moore brings it back to the 26 with 10:01 remaining in the ball game. The Stampeders have the ball, trailing by 3. Calgary has the ball, 1st and 10 at the 26. But Travis Moore lost the football on the punt return. The whistle had gone, indicating that the ground made him fumble, but it almost looked as though contact by one of the Edmonton players knocked the ball loose.
There's no question about it. Reggie Pledgett came in there and knocked the ball loose, and Edmonton actually recovered it, but they blew it dead.
Vaughn on the hitch screen. He runs back into traffic.
Henry Vaughn, number 2, makes the catch. Runs into half the defense as he cuts.
Like you said, Don, this is the hitch screen outside to Terry Vaughn. Another opportunity for them to get him the ball and let him get some running room. This time they bring some people out to try to get some people in front of him to block. But Edmonton runs so well on defense that they gang tackle and get over there and minimize the gain.
We got to do something on defense. It's a big play time, right?
Calgary Stampeders do need a big play. Oof, that one deflected. It was intended for Sapunjas.
Intercepted after the tip.
And Reed had a shot at grabbing it on the deflection.
Excuse me, Don. This is man coverage again, and he's got Sponge running the out route. Good coverage from Mobley. Mobley undercuts him, knocks the ball loose. The ball's a little underthrown. And Cavis Reed almost came up with maybe the play of the game. If he catches this tip ball, there's nobody there, he scores.
I'm sure some viewers might be wondering whether or not Wally Buono would come back with Garcia, the starter, in this 4th quarter. But anytime he has replaced Garcia with Barrett in the regular season, he is stuck with the replacement. Williams waits for it at the 40.
Gizmo Williams.
DeClaire made a good hit on the Gizmo, limiting his advance to about 8 yards.
Still the Eskimos by 3, 8:43 to go in the fourth quarter. And here's our game day analyst, Chris Walby, with a daring prediction.
Well, being the psychic that I am, Scott, I'm going to predict right now that the team that scores the first touchdown will indeed win this football game and go to the Grey Cup.
Yeah, way to put yourself out on a limb. Do you like the change to Danny Barrett now? Should they consider going back to Jeff Garcia?
Well, this is the thing we talked about earlier. If it didn't work, if it didn't lift him up and it didn't get him a touchdown, do they go back to Garcia? This is a question they got to ask themselves. We did this back in '84 with Huffnagel and Clemens. We took Clemens out, put Huffnagel in, removed him, put Clemens back in, and we won. So something to think about.
All right, Don, 6th time in the last 7 years that these teams have met in the West Final, and this game threatens to be the first West Final between these teams in which a touchdown has not been scored.
Yes, and I agree with what Chris Walby says. If either side scores a touchdown, I think they're going to win this football game the way the two defenses have been playing. Right now, the Edmonton Eskimos are winning the battle of field position. That has been a key factor, and much of that attributable to the missed field goal return of 51 yards by the Gizmo. McManus out of the shotgun. He's intercepted. Coleman has it. He loses the football. Who's got it? Calgary appears to have recovered. It looked like Kenton Leonard was the man who pounced on the ball.
Well, Danny certainly expects Eddie Brown to run to the post here on this play. He throws the ball inside, expecting Eddie to be there, and Eddie's running straight up the field, trying to run by Coleman to the outside. This is similar to the situation he missed Eddie earlier in the ball game, and he waited so long that he missed him inside with the throw, and it was incomplete. This time he throws, and Eddie's nowhere to be found, and Coleman makes the play. See Danny waiting. He throws the post route, and Eddie's running the go route. He's running right up the sideline. Coleman just reading the play, steps in, and there's that guy making a play for him. Coleman's made it so many times.
Kenton Leonard had a shot at the football, but it was Davis who managed to grab it. Calvin Anderson will only pick up a yard. Coleman with the interception. During regular season play, Coleman had 7 for the Stampeders. One less than the league leader in interceptions, Al Jordan.
Marvin talks about how he always studies the quarterback's arm strength from what he can see on film and what he gets from playing against them, and he knows how much cushion to give, knows how much he has to make up, and he made a play there.
Penalty flag, and it looked as though Terry Vaughn may have even been lined up offside. But let's listen to Jake Arlen.
Procedure, Calgary number 50. Still second down.
Jay McNeil at his guard position was guilty of the procedure call, but at the bottom of the screen it looked as though Terry Vaughn, the wide man and the trips right, was ahead of the line of scrimmage, but the movement was by Jay McNeil that the officials detected.
Sorry, Don. The offensive line was going on a count that the center was very foreign to. He had his own count, and he was late with the snap.
Over the middle for Sapunjas. And Sapunjas dives to the 40-yard line with 6:44 remaining. yards, Barrett to Sapunjas.
Dave said one of the situations they wanted to exploit was his man-to-man coverage matchup versus Senor Mobley. And right there, he wins inside. Danny makes a good, accurate throw. And now the field position situation has changed dramatically in favor of Calgary.
This field is becoming slipperier with snow again falling here at McMahon. Barrett throwing deep. Nobody anywhere near it. Vaughn raising his hands, and Barrett now coming over to talk to both Danielson and Vaughn. Something went wrong in the pattern either of the two was to run.
Well, Danny had a guy that was supposed to hook up, and one was supposed to go down the sideline, and both hooked. And so to minimize the bad play, he throws the ball out of bounds and regroups.
Second and 10 from the 40-yard line. 5:53 remaining. Barrett operating from the shotgun. Trips to either side. Pass was drilled in the direction of Alan Pitts. Broken up by Darian Hagan.
Darian Hagan makes a nice play on Alan Pitts. Alan's just got the option route. He's going to run. This time he runs a little out route and hooks up. Mobley playing him inside. Here comes Hagan breaking on the ball and breaks up the play. If he'd looked the other side, Dave Sapungis was wide open. And Danny, as much as Danny's showing body language there, Dave Sapungis was showing the same body language on the other side of the field about 20 yards downfield because he was open.
Mark McLaughlin will get another attempt at a long-range field goal. He missed with a 49-yard try. This will be a 47-yard kick. An opportunity to tie it with 5:39 and the clock running, the time remaining. Kick is up. It's good. This game is tied. Points or better. In the year that he missed, he had 199. He was upset with his inability to tie the game with a 49-yard field goal earlier, and it also upset Wally Buono that the Gizmo was able to run it back 51. But Mark McLaughlin comes through with a 47-yard field goal that ties this game at 47. At 12, I should say. Burst inside, driven back by 4 Calgary defenders.
Well, you can't say enough about the crowd here in Calgary. The weather conditions certainly aren't conducive to being out watching a football game, but maybe they are as far as the Calgary fans are concerned, because they're here in force and they're making a lot of noise, making it difficult for Danny McManus. The snow's falling. I'll tell you what, they talk about the fans of the Packers in Green Bay. They got nothing on the people up here in Calgary. This is a heck of a crowd.
Well, they have been roaring almost since the opening kickoff. They've been on their feet, reacting to everything. Oh, what a diving move by Flutie in front of Jordan. He fully extended himself to make the catch.
This is a tremendous play by Darren Flutie. Darren's just going to run an out route, right? Or just sit down. It's his option. He's going to sit down, and Danny throws the ball to an open area, and Darren makes a heck of a play to get back inside. Believe me, that was not by design. He threw the ball to an open spot, and he believed enough in Darren Flutie that Darren would get to the football for him, and a huge play by Darren Flutie.
3:55 remaining. Looks to the sidelines. He's got Flutie again.
Same play, Don. All they're doing is playing a little game over there with Sandusky and Darren Flutie. This was the situation that McManus told us about, that they were going to play an option game over there and let those two run the route based on the coverage. And Darren's just running out and sitting down. And Danny's decided, hey, the guy that got me here is Darren Flutie. That's who I'm going to go to.
Might this be a little deja vu for Calgary fans who were here in 1994? And Flutie hooking up under conditions very similar to today. Winning touchdown in the final play in the uniform of the BC Lions. The pass intended for Tobert, incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10.
Big hit by Greg Knox that time. Knox, I talked to Knox. He just relishes playing in this situation. And here's a guy that a lot of times people say he may not be fast enough, he may not be big enough. He calls their secondary situations for him, and he comes up and makes a big hit on Tolbert to disallow that catch.
2nd and 10 from the 47. 3:11 the time remaining. Operating from the shotgun. Movement at the line of scrimmage, and it looked as though on the right-hand side, offensive tackle Chris Morris pulled out of his stance prematurely.
Well, there's a danger using that silent count, because now the rest of the offensive line is having to anticipate the snap count. They're not listening to a count of any kind.
Edmonton number 60, still 2nd down.
And at 6'5", 280 pounds, Chris Morris is a tough man to miss when he moves early. Here's
what Don spoke about a moment ago. The BC Lions led into Calgary for the 94 final by McManus, who hit Danny Flutie in one of the most exciting CFL finishes ever. McManus hit Flutie with the winning touchdown pass to send the Lions onto the Grey Cup, where they would win again. And look at this catch by Darren Flutie in this game, reminiscent of the one he made a couple of years ago. And Don, the thing to note, as you mentioned earlier, is the field is starting to look now a whole lot like it did at this time 2 years ago.
Yes, conditions here much the same as in 1994, only Flutie and McManus, as I said, were wearing the uniform of the BC Lions, and they were heading towards the clubhouse end rather than the other direction. I know there are some guys over in the Edmonton Eskimo bench who hope they can weave that same magic this afternoon. 2:50 the time remaining. Second down play, McManus looking over the middle. There's the completion, and it's Flutie again.
It's complete, and it's very close to the first.
Once again, this is the same situation where a stacked lineup between Jim Sandusky and Darren Flutie. Darren's coming up the field. Now he breaks to the inside because they're overplaying the out, and Darren's just running to an open area, making plays.
And the important thing with the reception by Flutie, he has now put the Eskimos in field goal range for Sean Fleming.
Well, Darren's done such a good job of reading coverage, and Danny knows he has that. And Danny's sampled throughout the game, throwing the ball to different people. But he realizes now that it's crunch time. There's 2:30 left in the ball game, and Darren Flutie's going to see the ball, and Calgary has to know that too. There has to be an adjustment coverage-wise to take that away.
Well, Ron Lancaster, who did a little ad-libbing during his playing days as a quarterback with Saskatchewan, has given his approval to the movements by McManus and Flutie in devising some schemes during the course of a game. And this is Eric Blunt taking the ball down to about the 27-yard line, very close to another first down. But more importantly, they have taken some time off the clock. 2:18 now remaining.
Well, that's an adjustment right there in their secondary. Now they have to get the linebackers involved to get over and take Flutie away. Suddenly there's nobody there to step in the hole and fill as Blunt comes blowing up through the middle for a 9-yard gain.
Second and one, Eskimos.
Second and one for the Eskimos. First straight ahead, and he should have the first down.
Carrier goes straight ahead.
At this point, Danny will really begin to milk the clock. Now you're at 1:55. It'll wind as soon as they get everybody unpiled and move the chains, providing Tony got enough of the yardage for the first down. But this is where a veteran quarterback comes in for you. He's going to work the clock. He's been in this situation so many times. We just saw the flashback to '94. This is where you like to have a Danny McManus at the controls, because he knows what to do with the football in a situation where the clock is really starting to wind down.
At the start of the year and up to the midpoint of the season, Lancaster was saying McManus was taking a lot of criticism, but these Edmonton players really believe in him. There's the toss to Blunt, and Blunt is brought down by Alondra Johnson. 1:32 is the time remaining.
Johnson with the diving tackle.
Alondra Johnson's played a great game all day long. We've seen him and McClanahan keep coming up and making plays. Here Danny tosses the football to Blunt. Blunt's trying to stretch it and get outside. Alondra comes up, fills, and makes a great one-on-one tackle.
And the Calgary Stampeders have called a timeout with 1:32 remaining. It's been strictly a kicking game, with Sean Fleming splitting the uprights 4 times. Mark McLaughlin 4 times for Calgary. But it has been Darren Flutie and Danny McManus in this fourth quarter that have moved the football into the field goal range of Sean Fleming, and an opportunity to perhaps kick the winning points and send Edmonton into next Sunday's Grey Cup game against the Toronto Argonauts. And our coverage begins from Iberwin Stadium next Sunday at 5 Eastern Time.
You know, the people of Hamilton are going to put on a great show. They're really excited about having the Grey Cup this year, and I know I've talked to some of the players that play for that team there, and they are really excited about having the Grey Cup there.
Second and 10. Blunt inside, and he appeared to be having some problems with his footing as he tried to make a cut. And with the snow that is continuing to fall, footing is much more difficult. The Eskimos made the trip to Calgary by bus It's about a 3-hour drive. They may have some problems getting home tonight because the word we have is that the weather between here and Edmonton is deteriorating rapidly.
Well, Fleming is able to stick this one through and they hold on for the win. They're probably not going to have a bad time if I'm sitting here in Calgary and talking about winning.
Sean Fleming gets an opportunity to give the Eskimos the lead with 1:18 remaining from the 32-yard line. It's wide from the end zone. Coleman trying to get out. He does. Now Coleman finds some room, and he's upset at the 22-yard line. He came dangerously close to going all the way, and it was Fleming who made what might have been a saving tackle.
It certainly looked like he made a game-saving tackle right there.
Lancaster was hoping, I'm sure, as were the Eskimos, that if the kick by Fleming was to be wide, it would at least be deep enough to go through the end zone for a point. It was right to the dead ball line.
It's certainly deep. It's about 19 yards deep in the end zone. But how about the presence of mind of Coleman and knowing he has to get out of there, and then he makes a big play with the return.
Fleming thought he had made it, or at least kicked it through the end zone, but that was not the case. This game, folks, could be going to overtime. The first time since 1984 that a playoff game has required extra time to determine the outcome. Terry Vaughn was the receiver. 14-13. Hamilton beat Toronto in '84, and the Ticats in the Grey Cup game played in Edmonton, lost to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Second and 10 Calgary, 34 seconds remaining. Barrett looks over the middle. Pass is complete to Vince Danielson, but he'll be short of a first down.
Well, this is a situation now where Edmonton would want to use their timeout. So they can't drain the clock down any further and have to make a punt and give Danny McManus a couple of chances with the football.
It looked as though Sean Fleming was going to have the opportunity to win it for the Edmonton Eskimos. But the kick was wide and did not sail through the end zone, and what a play by Coleman to bring it back, and then an equally big play by the kicker, Sean Fleming, to stop him from going all the way. The Gizmo is back with Don Blair. Tony Martino getting set with this third down kick. Gizmo races up to take it on the run, but he runs out of room over in front of the Edmonton bench with 19 seconds remaining. There is also a penalty flag on the play.
No yards. Calgary number 30. First down.
No yards call against Kenton Leonard with 19 seconds remaining.
That's a huge penalty right here, Don. That puts them on the Calgary side of the midfield, even all the way down to about the 48-yard line. Now McManus just needs a couple of completions, and with the clock stopping with every play, he's got a chance to get Fleming another opportunity.
But you know, with this snow continuing to fall, Fleming or McLaughlin, doesn't matter who's kicking, could have difficulty in really planting to get set for a long-range kick.
Well, I'm sure Fleming's standing over there hoping he gets one more shot.
Would it be anybody else but Darren Flutie? McManus drills it to him with 15 seconds remaining.
They are wearing him out on the short side of the field with this option route, Darren Flutie and Jim Sandusky. This time McClanahan's responsible for the underneath coverage, and Darren just runs an out route on him, and Danny makes a good throw, and it's getting tight.
38 seconds remaining. Pardon me, the ball at the 38, 15 seconds remaining. First and 10 Edmonton. McManus swings it out to Tony Burst. Burst puts his head down, trying to take on a couple of defenders. And he brings the ball to the 32-yard line with 9 seconds remaining. And Ron Lancaster now sends out the field goal team. And Sean Fleming will get an opportunity to win it again for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Two good decisions by Danny McManus. The first time he gets the ball to Darren Flutie, who picks up 12. This time they take away the option route, and he dumps it off to Tony Burst to get another piece of positive yards and put Fleming getting closer to a field goal attempt.
Well, McLaughlin and Martino have moved into the end zone along with Coleman in the event that this kick should go wide and they can't run it out. They will kick it out of the end zone.
A lot of practice time is spent in the special teams portion of practice working on these sort of things, because you can win and lose ball games right here just by making a mental mistake. The two kickers are in because obviously they have the ability to get the ball out of the end zone.
And now you see Fleming with help from teammates trying to clear off an area, the area where he will plant to try and split the uprights from just outside the 40-yard line. 1993, the Eskimos came in here and earned a berth to the Grey Cup. Will they do it in 96 with this kick by Fleming? It's good! And the Edmonton Eskimos have knocked off the Calgary Stampeders and are Grey Cup bound and will face the Toronto Argonauts next Sunday at Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton. Not a touchdown scored this afternoon, but Ron Lancaster's Edmonton Eskimos got a 5 field goal performance from Sean Fleming as he outkicked Mark McLaughlin, who nailed 4 for the Calgary Stampeders. And on the final play of the game, once again, the Calgary Stampeders see their Grey Cup hopes evaporate.
Boy, you almost think they're snake bit here in their own stadium. They probably would like to play on the road for a change, but what a great effort by both teams defensively. You got to take your hat off to both defenses. And Fleming gets a final opportunity, and he sticks it through a long kick in the conditions, 40 yards.
1994, 37-36. McManus to Darren Flutie for the game-winning touchdown for the BC Lions. And this year, on the final play of the game, the Sean Fleming field goal sends the Edmonton Eskimos into next Sunday's Grey Cup game against the Toronto Argonauts. Here's the hero with Scott.
Yes, sir. Here is Sean Fleming. Were you thanking your lucky stars you got the second chance?
Yeah, I really was. The one that I missed, I hit well, and I thought I was going right down the middle. All of a sudden, I think the wind caught it and just all of a sudden brought it around. So this time I played the wind a little bit more and aimed a little more to the right side and let the wind take it in.
But for that no yards penalty, you wouldn't have gotten the second chance.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's what comes down to special teams, and you know, we got a couple breaks, and you know, we didn't get a lot of total offense, but we still got the points when we needed to, and that's always important.
You know, there was an overflow of offense in Toronto today, and now you're facing the powerful, I can't speak, my mouth's so frozen, powerful Argonauts next week. How's this matchup set up?
Well, it's going to be a tough one. They got some great athletes on that team. Doug Flutie obviously is the trigger man, and it's going to be a tough game for us, but we're looking forward to being there, and hopefully the conditions are a little warmer than this, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
But the game is outdoors. That should favor you guys. Thanks, Sean.
Okay, no problem.
And so the Eskimos win it 15-12 on 5 field goals from Sean Fleming. A 40-yarder sends Edmonton all the way to the Grey Cup in Hamilton a week today.